is happening? Holy crap, holy unruly. All I'm going to tell you is I'm like, I just realized I didn't ask one thing. So it's very interesting because the one thing I didn't ask until just now is it in my greatest and highest good to go live today? Is it in our greatest and highest good to go live today, Spirit? Is it in our greatest and highest good to do it in a podcast format? Holy crap. So that's what's going to happen. This is how it's going to go. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. I kind of felt that. Which is really interesting because, I built an altar and did all that, but there were so many messages coming through, you guys. Like, there were so many messages. So welcome. We're in a podcast format. And it's interesting because I feel like maybe they'll have me show it if they want me to show a picture of it. But the deck that we're working with today is the Mind Body Makeover deck, and we are working with the shadow energy. So happy Father's Day to those who celebrate and to those who don't or have something with your father. Maybe you're meant to be here today. Maybe it's the divine masculine. Because, when we started this series of Sacred Sunday, it literally started, hi, Anna. It literally started on Mother's Day. So it's interesting that we started on Mother's Day, and at episode 6, we're at Father's Day. Jessica was just here too. Dude, what's so funny? This is so funny. While I was so early. I mean, it was so crazy. And when I was stretching like 5 minutes before it started, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm one of those, or I said to myself, I better be mindful because I can get lost in my yoga and my stretches and just like listening to the music. You know what I mean? Like I just can get lost in that. And so I was like, Spirit, make sure you let me know so I don't like be late. I'm like, cause that's always like the ongoing joke of being late. Oh, hi, Dad. My dad is here. I looked down, it was 2:26 and then it was 2:28 and 2:26 was my first love's boyfriend, or my first boyfriend, my first love, his birthday, and my dad's birthday is 2:28. So I'm sending good energy to him. Oh, I hope he's a father now. I'd always hoped he'd be such a good dad. My ex first boyfriend. We're still friends. He's a beautiful soul. Anyway, with that being said, I laughed to Spirit and I said, that happens to me. That used to happen to me quite often. Is that I would actually be late for even though I was early. Like I'm that person that would show up like an hour early and then I'm like, well, I'll go walk around and whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to be there like right now. So anyway, everything happens for a reason. I believe that with so much of my whole heart. But that was really interesting because I had actually thought about doing a Sacred Sunday in a podcast format. And they have been talking to me about it, but I didn't know it was going to be today. And looking at all the signs from today, I really didn't feel that. I am going to ring a bell. And I ring this bell for Jessica because Jessica was like, did I do that? And I was like, no. And I want, what, since that came up, I feel like that's going to be the number one thing we're going to talk about today. Right now, with so many things that are happening on the planet right now, where, we're telling you guys, speaking your truth, but being mindful of your thoughts and what's coming out of your mouth, right? Because it's like spelling abracadabra, right? Like it's like you're like forming it into being what we speak and think and say whatever we are. So there's a lot of folklore around. Oh, good, yay! Anna liked the bell. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this one too. Um, and it's good sound therapy because I didn't know we were going to do this in a podcast format. So that's really cool. And all of the things that have been like coming together for a really long time made me realize just now, this whole culmination of things is that we have got to get out of this fear mindset because even saying something like that, oh, I'm not feeling well, did I bring that in? It's like, no. if you are going into something with good intention, then everything's fine, right? So the only thing I would say maybe, Jess, is that I would say, like, did you come into this, saying, I don't want to bring any of this energy with me? Maybe this episode is also about us being more conscious of our energy and what we're bringing in, you know? If you're a really powerful energy and a real powerful entity, because there are some of us that are more powerful than others. It's just the truth. It's just where we are in our level of consciousness in the rung on the ladder, so to speak. It's not a hierarchy system of like, ooh, look at me, I'm better. That's a very third dimensional, old, gross, like, and I say gross because it is. It's a form of control and it's a form of ickiness that we co-created that has really fucked with our heads and fucked with our minds. And I think that third dimensional reality right now is, because it's crumbling before us, it's having this kind of like gestation effect while we're coming into the rebirth energy. Thank you guys. And just to let you know, whoever is coming in, we decided to go into a podcast format. I didn't realize that's what Spirit was trying to show me, and it all makes sense now. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you want to identify yourself, that's awesome. If not, I can't see you. Nobody can see you. You are protected, but you are welcome to be here. Also, feel free to ask questions today. Hi, Jessica. Did you hear all that? I was wondering if you were here. But yeah, it's very, very interesting what's going on right now. This like identity crisis, so to speak. And I feel like for this particular episode 6, this is about the mind body makeover. And yes, we have cards. Yes, we are going to work with this deck, but it's also about, thank you. See, do you see how powerful you guys are? Like, you brought in the power of suggestion of, oh shit, did I like fucking bring something with me? But it's about being, I don't know if you guys can see each other's comments, but Anna says, hi, Jessica. Can you guys see each other's comments? Anyway, talk amongst yourselves. Remember with the coffee talk amongst yourself. Um, but there are so many different mindsets that are all coming together and coagulating in this very interesting, but also a little dangerous energy. Oh, yay. I love that you guys could talk to each other. That's so awesome. And I love that you're both here, my two fucking anchors. Can we just take a moment to stop and say, because other people will watch this at some point if they're not here live, but seriously, Anna and Jessica, without the two of you, you are like literally my like archangels on either side of me that really help me going. I mean, I have my other people like Jules and Bailey and Zoe, and I have certain people that are like, always around, like above. I mean, you guys are too, but you know what I'm saying? But you guys show up in the flesh of the third dimensional reality that really helps ground me too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My love and my heart goes out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But when this was coming through, oh my gosh, like I knew I wasn't even going to start calling stuff in because I started feeling it. Wherever I was last night, by the way, you guys, wherever I was, I think I was in Chicago, but it was like in another dimension, in another place. I was with Alder. We were getting back together, or we were back together. You're most welcome. But anyway, it was beautiful and we were good. Everything was like beautiful. It was like the most, I mean, it wasn't like perfect. Like I knew that there were things about it. Like it was rainy and I was like walking around and I was like, oh, because I love Chicago. It's where I'm from. But, let's be honest, like 6 months out of the year, it's a pretty fucking depressing place, even when you live in the city, not everybody wants to go out because, the winter's sunk in and it's either cold and rainy or windy or whatever. And maybe this is a message to somebody that you need to be where you feel, good. Remember that we've been talking about that. I want to be somewhere where the air doesn't hurt my face, But either way, the cool thing is that I saw an energy with us in a place that was like, it wasn't about Chicago so much. And I realized it was subconscious city. I call it subconscious city because it's very fucking real to me. Like it's very real. Like I wake up here and let's put it this way, I can wake up like 3 times and go right back into it because I know I'm just going right back through that wormhole and I'm just, whatever. So, you know, it's not those like when you're having a dream and you wake up and you're like, oh man, and you're like, you can't, no matter how many times you go back to sleep, you can't get back to it. You're like, fuck, because you're only supposed to get what you were supposed to get and move on. But whenever I'm going through these places, I know that it's like a place that like I've co-created, most likely with Alder, maybe in Chicago, where in some place I feel safe, you know? And then also, I totally did not realize that today was Father's Day. And it makes sense because June 1st was on a Sunday. We did Sacred Sunday 3, you know, Sundays ago, whatever, right? Or 2 Sundays ago. This is the third Sunday. Um, but it's a lot of times when Father's Day happens, it's usually more like towards like the 18th to the, you know, 20 something or whatever, right? It's like the third Sunday. So that was really powerful too. I didn't even zone in on the fact, you know, both my fathers are passed now. And, you know, I don't really talk to any divine masculines outside of my partner and my landlord and like, you know, people in my life. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any family or anything. So it didn't even occur to me. And all of a sudden I, you know, go to get this set up and I see Father's Day stuff everywhere. And I'm like, I look on the calendar, I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking Father's Day. I'm like, who knew? Also, I saw November 4th. I don't know if that means anything for anybody. So that could be a father. It's also Scorpio energy. And then I saw 1110. So that's also November. So I don't know if that's Scorpio or somebody's trying to talk to you. Oh, and I looked down, it was 1117. Woo, 17 keeps coming. But it's interesting to me that I'm going to show the live video and you'll see her distorted, but you'll see that it's interesting that the cover of the box, the Mind Body Makeover, is of Mona Lisa. And when I was putting this together, not realizing it was Father's Day, actually, I could probably go down like this. It might be a little weird. Does that look weird to you guys? Tell me if it looks weird. The crystals are all like, hey, what's up? Oh, and also I love that like the brain. I love that the brain is there. Maybe we'll just do that. Maybe that's all they wanted. But either way, we'll see what happens. If it doesn't, if they tell me to go back to podcast, I will. But when I was putting this together and putting this short together, I used Mona Lisa, right, from Nat King Cole. And then when I redid it again, they had me use, I think it was like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or some type of music like that. And now looking at this, even, you know what I mean? Like there's just so many things that are coming together. It's like the divine masculine was like, we will be heard. Okay, hold on. I just saw something from Jessica. Long ago, I was given the nickname Mona Lisa at our Buddhist church. Wow. Ooh, I just got the chills. Hey, were either of you guys crying this morning, Anna and Jessica? Because this morning I have been like just a puddle. I mean, my dad came through, my mom came through. Whenever Shiny from Cerebralis comes through, I just like bawl because one of my fondest memories of my mom it was when like my brother and sister were at school and I was like 3 or 4 and we were home together. And I just remember like sitting in the kitchen with my mom and she was at the sink. All I could see was the back of her and I could feel her energy. And I didn't realize then like how much I was downloading from my blood and bone. And recently I saw something where another light worker said, if you don't remember your childhood star seeds, like don't take that as a negative. That's okay because you're not meant to. And you may see it in like bits and pieces like a movie. And I swear to you, that's exactly how it feels with my mom. Like I have like little bits and pieces of memories or like something that was really tragic that happened. Like I held on to it, right? Because that was part of it was almost like a snapshot that I needed to take. Thank you, Anna. No cries from Anna this morning. That's all right. But they're like little fucking snapshots, almost like my brain, right? Like my brain like downloaded, right? My brain downloaded that information and that's all it wanted me to hold on to so that I can work with it later. Or maybe it was even just to connect with whatever person that I was going to work with, that I was, you know what I mean? I mean, there's just so many levels of this, you guys. There's so many levels, and we're seeing on such a wide platform of just everything crumbling in front of us. And it's like the third dimensional world has got to fucking fall apart. See, Anna said the same thing. She can't remember any of her childhood. I know. It's star seeds. It's like when they said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that made so much sense. And when I'm telling stories to people, it's like I'm watching a movie. Okay, so no crying here either, but lots of spirits coming in. Okay, that was from Jessica. Okay, so mine, I think what happened was when I started opening the portal after I saw the Father's Day thing, after all of a sudden I had my music on shuffle, but I had put it a little bit lower. And then Tom Petty came through. But there, I keep it on shuffle all the time. And it was Tom Petty fucking back to fucking back from the Full Moon Fever album. It was crazy. And one of them, like, every time I hear it, it's like my childhood. So like I was having all these memories. And then all of a sudden, like, I had turned it down a little bit. And long story short, I heard Edelweiss. And that always reminds me of my dad because The Sound of Music was like a huge movie in our family. We were musical people. My dad was a musician. So I just started bawling my eyes out. And then I just saw this sadness. I saw, and all of a sudden my whole body overwhelmingly, I just started bawling because I was singing it because I love it. But I was singing the version that where the dad is singing it and then Liesel comes in, the oldest daughter, right? And she starts singing with him. And my dad started to show me that, like, if he could do everything over again, that he would have chose me and like our family, and meaning like we were a musical family. My mom and my sister played the piano. My mom and I, and my mom, my mom, my brother, and myself. I've never really heard my sister sing, but I don't think she sings bad. What I have heard her sing, but my brother and my dad and I were the singers, and my dad could sing, but if you really went down to it, it was me and my brother were the singers. Oh, and my mom, excuse me, I take that back. Rewind. My dad and my brother play guitar, and my mom and my brother and I were the strongest singers. So, but my sister played the piano. Like, I mean, she's so gifted, you know what I mean? So we all have like our own talents, and my brother could play the guitar and sing, but he loved to sing more. And we were just this very musical family. And so, when my dad was showing me that, he was showing me that he let the alcohol completely destroy our family. Like he let his addictions completely destroy our family, just everything. And so I was like bawling my eyes out, and I'm glad I cried because I felt like I needed to like work through that. So maybe for some of you, I feel like this is a wink wink that, if your father's on the other side. I kept getting this like regret energy. Drink some water if you have it, by the way. Ooh, 1734. Mm. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have Emily Spirit Guide is coming through again. Wow, she's really powerful. This is a spirit guide for a new tribe member. And I don't even know if I'd call her a tribe member because, but they're new to my world, and their spirit guide has become a guardian angel, or their friend has become a guardian angel and spirit guide. And they have been with us a lot since this person shared their story with me. I think it what is today? So if today's Sunday, so it must have been maybe in the full moon and Sagittarius reading, or I don't know. I've been doing so many readings lately. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, so our theme today is about dancing in the dark. And then that was literally when I asked Spirit what our theme was. Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen came on, and I knew it because I felt it, because right now the Divine Masculine is so, I'm going to put this out for a minute. The Divine Masculine is so shrouded in shadow right now. That's probably why they want me to keep going dark too, right? Like they're trying to show us that like they're here, but they're not here, right? Like I could say, oh, it's because of his triple Gemini. I can, about my partner. I could go on and on and on to all the reasons and tell you like why every time I see them, they're different. But the truth and the matter is, it is the shadow energy, and the shadow energy, when my understanding of this experience on earth is this soul school, for our, I mean, we're basically a bunch of little tiny little atoms making up one gigantic energy, right? And so when the energy was aware of itself, when it regained its own consciousness, or maybe it was the first, it's like the Big Bang Theory. It's like the chicken and the egg. I'm not sure. We don't know, at least I don't know now. Maybe in this world, we'll never know. I don't know. But whatever it is, wherever we come from, I do feel this unity feel and this unity vibe. So when we decided to co-create this earth and co-create this world, to have this unity consciousness, we were like, cool, but somebody had the great idea of, hey, why don't we give us all free will? And somebody else was like, yeah, dude, free will, that's perfect. I feel like it's like when they talk about like God created earth or whatever, I feel like when earth was created, I feel like it was a bunch of souls. It wasn't just like one being. I feel like if it's one being, it's all of us co-created, and we all came together. And when we decided and understood what we were or where we were going with this understanding of consciousness, I started to feel, look at me, where did I come in? That's interesting. Right? We began to understand. It reminds me of like in the never ending story with the big turtles, remember? And they're like, we don't care that we don't care, right? It's like, because they're like we, everything was like we, it wasn't an I, it wasn't a. And so it does, I have to correct myself, because when I say I realize that's the ego, and that's the third dimensional energy, in the consciousness of the shadow. And the free will, it was kind of like we knew what was going to happen, right? Like we all knew what was going to happen. We know it now. Like if everything blew up right now and we were just back into our like, consciousness form, we'd be like, oh man, I told you that's right, man. Well, we'll try it again. Sometimes I think that's what all the dimensions are. Is like we just keep trying and we keep trying. But this one, when we hear this is it, this is the ground down, I feel like this is the whatever real there is, quote unquote. I feel like whatever is happening now is the one that everyone is like time traveling to, trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, because it's run amok. It's run amok, and we allowed it to happen because we wanted to see how far it was going to go, right? But it's kind of like that, like when you're toddler, or if you don't even have a child, if you've ever watched a toddler when they're trying to learn new things, it's so amazing. And it's so cool to see any child or animal or any being experience something for the first time. But there's something so innocent and beautiful about a child that comes to understand its power. Even like a puppy. Like when you see the little puppies when they're like, and they're like trying to do and all the other like pack around them, the ambulance sirens are going off, and they're like, oh, 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 and the little one's like, oh, it's like trying to get it out. And then all of a sudden it's like, then there's that day where they keep doing it and they keep doing it, and finally one day they're like, ooh, ooh, ah, right? And they just like roar. It's like out there, right? Little lion roars for the first time. So I feel, 2244. I've been seeing 1133 and 1155 everywhere. So work with those angel numbers again, and 2244, which is beautiful, which is also the number 12 and the number 3. And today is, what is today? Today's the 15th. So that would be a 6 number, which also goes down to the lowest denominator of 3. Ooh, and there's 3 of us here right now, or 4. Well, 4 altogether. So technically, but there's 3 of you. But there's a lot of power that is happening right now through our consciousness. And Carrie K keeps coming into my orbit. And so I'll put a link below again if you guys would like to check out our stuff. It's like one of those people, 23, 24, where I don't always agree with everything, certain things people say, but then there are certain things where I'm like, dude, I feel like for me personally, they feel on the money. So they may feel that way for you too. I never want to push anybody, but I always like to, give the, if other light workers are out there giving me pearls, I want to pass on that their spirit guides put them out as well. And we're all here to connect to each other, right? She's Australian, I believe. Australia or New Zealand. I don't know why, I can't remember. But either way, also it is in the middle of the day, Sunday, and it is a beautiful day where I live. So we are going to hear a lot of traffic today. So I apologize for that. So you see where this episode is going. So the Divine Masculine wanted to bring the shadow in today because they're trying to show us that they are fighting battles that we can't see or understand right now. And that is why in a lot of these love messages, love readings they've been putting out to us in the last few months has been about us, you can go your own way, right? Go your own way. Because everybody's got to be where they need to be right now. But we don't know where we're going to end up. And a lot of people, even the light workers, are in this fear of stepping outside of their comfort zone, and spirit's like, yes, but you don't understand like the magic and like the heavenly energy that you're going to feel when you step out of your comfort zone, go towards what you're supposed to go towards. Because if this person, this situation, this place, whatever, if it's meant for you, then it'll find you again. But if it right now, if you just feel like you're butting your head against the wall, no matter what your situation is, spirit is saying this is a time to listen to your heart, right? Listen to your heart when it's calling for you. Okay, and then also a little more love from Olivia Newton-John came on, and that's what I got. And the shadow was saying, it was like the divine masculine was like calling out to us and saying, please just give me more love. I know that I may not even deserve it. Like I'm literally, this is what I'm getting from the shadow and the divine masculine, right? Like I may not even deserve your love, but can you give it to me anyway? But for some people, wherever your energy is, or wherever the people around you, like, I remember there was this person that I knew very well, and they had a really horrific childhood with their father, and they molested them. And when everything like came to a forefront and I was working with both of them, I'm like, he won't admit it, and he won't admit it to you, or I said he won't admit it to himself, he won't admit it to me, even when I would say to him like, I you know you believe that I'm a telepathic medium, so you believe everything I say, so when I'm bringing this up you're saying she's lying. I'm like, okay, well, it's called hysteria. What do they call it? Like hysteria, lyingness or something. I mean, I know it's not the proper word, right? But where somebody, if it's something so horrible about themselves that they don't want to see, they will create a lie, or they will create like a boundary where they really genuinely don't think that ever happened. The mind is a powerful, I'm going to put it back on because I'm like, the mind is a very powerful, 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 powerful tool that we use so little of because of the third dimensional energy, the divine masculine, the patriarchal energy that didn't like women having power and control. Now, that's not to say that in history, women didn't take their power and control and abuse it either, because they did. Of course they did, right? We all have shadow and we all have light. We all have divine masculine and we all have divine feminine. If this were another time, my chart is 70% masculine. But on the outside, I'm a beautiful, badass bitch. If I really wanted to like put that out there, Southside Chicago Kelly could come out and I could marry her together with Tallulah Kelly and they could be like this, whatever, right? But that's not how I feel. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to intimidate. I don't want to dominate. I don't want to control. So there's a blurry, fine line right now between control and domination. And the wars that we're watching right now, they're not just about material things or power control of another country or I'm the king, blah, 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 blah. Look at how long the queen lived. If she were meant to be in monarchy hierarchy right now and alive, she would be. I mean, everybody knows Prince Charles was like her bitch for like how many years? Like, it's like, and I don't mean it that way, but I'm putting it out in that kind of context, right? Like that's the way the world was like, he was in trouble, or his affair. He brought shame to the monarchy with his affair and Princess Diana. You know what I mean? Like when things started to go out into the media and all that. And so it was a yes, mother, yes, mummy, kind of like whatever, you know? And she lived a long time. She reigned a long time. We always knew it was the queen, the queen, the queen. So if she were meant to still be the queen during this massive takeover, she would have been. But he was meant to come into control, just like, William will when he goes. So there's just this very interesting energy that's happening. And they told us, meaning like spirit downloaded to a lot of us, the light workers, that it was going to take about 100 years for everything to come together. Well, the age of Aquarius came in 1969. Do the math, right? So we still have time to go. I hope that we see in our lifetime the revolutions that we need to see, but we're also going to see other things. But what is happening right now is the divine masculine is like crying for help. They don't know how to ask for it because they were told if they ask for it, that makes them weak, right? So we are still, and when they say it takes about 100 years, because it takes about 100 years for those generations to go. We're all going to die sometime, right? Um, I just, um, I just looked at that song. Oh gosh, from Pink Floyd. Let me know if you know the song. It's something the big sky or something in the big sky or whatever. But it's like it's just a few words, but he talks about dying. And anyway, a lot of things came on. Mind Games came on. It's just like all these songs were coming on before we started this, and I saw the path. I saw the breadcrumbs and what Spirit was trying to show me and what they were trying to, say and to talk about today. I'm gonna put it back on the thing because I feel like it's like straining my eyes to look at it. I'm like, my eyes. Oh, that was my ankle cracking. I was just moving around. But this is, these archetypes. Thank you. The great gig in the sky. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. The great gig in the sky. Yes. Right. Isn't that the Dark Side of the Moon album, dude? I'm almost positive it is. Confirm, please, if you have the time and energy. Which is kind of funny because we are on the dark side of the moon. In fact, as I look and peruse at my calendar, we are in the waning gibbous energy right now. So that's very interesting. The third quarter moon is on Wednesday. So we are definitely on the dark side of the moon. Yeah, it is the dark side of the moon. I had a feeling. I was like, I kind of know. That was like that album's been my anthem many times throughout my life. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Where he talks about dying. Well, in recent weeks, I had a discussion with my partner, and I said something like, oh, because it was around his birthday. His birthday was May 28th, which is also my dad's death day. So my dad was born on February 28th, and he died on May 28th, and my partner's birthday is May 28th, which is like very interesting, right? It's like he like came into my life after like my divine masculine, like the most important divine masculine in my life left, and then the new generation was gonna like step in, right? But dying has never been anything that they had any fear of. So it was very interesting to me when I said, it's your birthday. It's like you're 53. I was like being funny. And I was making a song, being my silly self that I like to do when it's someone's birthday. And but he was like, he just was not having it. I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, why? What's wrong? Because they were all excited. They were going camping in the mountains. They were going to do some, natural psychedelics, that are legal where we live. And so they were really excited about that. And so I said, I don't understand. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, he's like, I'm just getting closer to dying or something. I'm paraphrasing, but he mentioned something about dying. And I was like, what are you afraid to die? I was like, oh my gosh. And then I realized something, that all of those years he wasn't afraid to die. And now he's afraid to die. What does that mean? Some people call it midlife crisis. Some people call it mortality consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But this is somebody who literally physically died when he was 9, got hit by a bus, died for like 14 minutes on the table, like dead, no heartbeat, dead, came back to life. Then, all these horrible things have happened to them, gotten horrible accidents. They tried to kill themselves, tried to hang themselves from a tree. The tree branch broke. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff where it's like, I'm like, well, dude, you're not meant to die. So that you can't take the easy way out. You're a fucking warrior. You obviously came here for a reason. And now they're afraid to die. But because I can see what was happening, I'm like, I'm just going to put a pin in that and let that go. If they want to talk about it again with me, they can. But if not, I'm like, that's interesting. But that gave me so much perspective into what's happening. And I think what is happening is that the divine masculine is dying. There's a side of the divine masculine that's dying, and it's the shadow side of control, right? Like if you go into the whole entire energy field of yin and yang, of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, it's equal parts, right? It's all meant to be equal. But when you look at them and you separate them, yin is feminine, yang is masculine, right? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars, right? But here we are trying to come together. Now, it doesn't matter whatever you identify with on the outside, even like your physical, sexual, whatever, like that isn't, I want you to just connect with this part of the story, right? Oh, now look down, it's 34, 44. And 34 is also the number 7. We go in cycles, right? Yeah, Anna just said, bless Alder, hope he's okay. Maybe he's shedding old skin. Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like too, is that I started to see this, mortality thing, because if you are afraid to die, then that tells me that you're aligning more in that yang energy of fear, control, not being able to maybe finish something. Like the other thing I was thinking about it too, Anna, thank you for bringing that up, is that, and I'm like, thank you, Alder's higher self, for letting us talk. Because, when I used to, when we were together, I would always say, if things come up, is it okay if I talk about it? He was like, yeah, of course, it's part of the process, blah, blah, blah. And when we separated, I tried not to talk about him because I wasn't sure if the permission was still granted. And then I started to feel this energy of his higher self that was like, just because he's going through this here, he's like, that permission is still granted. So I'm going to take that permission as granted. But because I do believe that they are exactly just like going through something old, because when you are afraid to die, that means you're afraid to lose something. And then that's what you have to ask yourself. What am I afraid to lose? What am I afraid to let go of? If you're not wanting to leave a place, a person, a situation, a thing, whatever it is, what is your attachment to it? What are you not wanting to let go of? When the full moon in Sagittarius came in, I knew that we were going to have all these illuminations and that it was going to carry over into the Cancer energy. I really felt that, and I can feel it here today. And not just because there's a lot of Sag energy with Anna and myself, but also, there is just such a freedom in the Sagittarius energy of being themselves and not taking shit and not, and I feel like when we're going through something and we're shedding the skin of something so like that, it's been with us for so long, you know what I mean? And it's going to be different for each of us. Insert your story, right? But when you have had something, and if it's something that's your whole life, because even, let's just say, like, you've personally never been abused, but you have watched like abuse happen in your family, and it's like, that's not going to go away. That's going to stay with you no matter what the abuse is. And it could be verbal, it could be, physical, mental, and then it's all connected anyway, because if somebody verbally, I personally believe that verbal and mental is way, way more harsh, than being hit. I've had both, and your bruise will heal, and the pain reminds you not to, stick with it. But it's interesting when I do readings for people sometimes, and we'll, close our eyes and we'll go into like their childhood trauma stuff, and I'll help them, extricate those like moments of time that they need to look at and heal, because most of the things that we are not letting go of have a root deep somewhere within our soul, within our psyche, of something that we witnessed, whether we witnessed it over and over every day or we witnessed it for a second. I mean, you can have the best fucking childhood in the entire world, like something that by textbook definition of what we were trained to believe is like this perfect childhood, right? Yet you are at an amusement park with your family having the best day ever, and some dude fucking, decides to stand up, on a fucking roller coaster, and wrong time, wrong space, he's decapitated and his fucking head flows in front of your face. You're never gonna forget that, ever. You know what I mean? Like, that's a harsh fucking thing, right? Right? Like, that's a harsh thing. I'm sorry to give you such a visual to our empaths, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, so that's it for the rest of your fucking life. You will always, always remember that. Always. The fear, the screaming, the, you know what I mean? Then you're perfectly right. Jessica's like, eat gods. And Anna says, wow, I spoke my truth with the Saggy moon. Exactly. Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's harsh. And but that's what I'm saying. So everybody's truth and everybody's path and everybody's life is completely fucking different. There are parallels, of course. We have things and situations, yes, but it is never, ever, ever going to be the same unless you are in the household. But even then, my brother and sister, I remember trying to have conversations with them sometimes, and they would both look at me like I was fucking crazy, and they would say that didn't happen, or we don't remember that. You were younger than us. How do you remember that? I'm like, I don't know, but I remember that. Now looking back on it, it's because I was a telepathic medium. So I probably wasn't just remembering what happened like they did. I was hearing everybody's thoughts around me. I was feeling everybody's feelings around me, right? So that is interesting. And we have to put those kind of, I don't know how you, modes of consciousness, thank you, Spirit, into our thought process when we're remembering things and when we're looking at things. And and also I feel like the divine masculine is kind of knocking back at the door, because I feel like I want to pull some cards right now. It's funny. I wanted to start with cards so badly. And then it was like, but I'm so glad and thank you. And we co-created this, sister. So thank you. There's a lot going on. So I love this deck. One of my favorite things about this deck is that it's called the Mind Body Makeover. And I'll do a little screen. So even though it's in this weird, it didn't matter if I went horizontal or vertical. It was still doing this. I was like, what the fuck? It's just so weird. But we'll stay on the brain. We'll stay on the crystals for a minute. But that's so you can see it. We'll stay on the brain. But the great thing about this deck is on one side of the card, it's where our busy mind, our monkey mind is, as they call it. And the other side of the card is what our soul is really trying to tell us. Okay. So if anybody has any specific questions, feel free to type in any questions. Take your time. There is no rush, and you don't have to put any questions at all. They'll give us something. But I am feeling like at least one person wants to ask a question. So here is the first card. I'm going to put it here and see if we have any questions. I was wondering if they were going to have me do this in a way that's like, oh, there, hold on. Because of the way the shape of it is, it's like an egg. Okay, Spirit, do we have any more? Ooh, okay. So we have, this one came out. This is for the tribe. I feel like this is a question for somebody. So we're going to do this question, and then you guys can do more. And then we're going to take a pause because I've been drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated. And so I'll take a little potty break. Okay. So here is the monkey mind thought that we may be having with ourselves. If I'm happy and successful and I talk about it, I'm being boastful and blowing my own horn. So you may have somebody in your orbit, in your family, in your life who like squashed you when you had a good idea, right? The brain, like when you had it, I'm like, boy, my finger looks really wrinkly this close. I'm a little sunburned too. Right? Oh my gosh, Jessica says, I never blow my own horn ever. Well, it's time for you to blow that fucking horn. Blow that horn, baby, because Spirit is saying it's healthy joy. Number 5, and 5s are about change and transformation. And it says, I express joy and gratitude in my life with the proper combination of passion and humility. Exactly. It's okay to speak your truth. It's okay to say I'm a fucking badass, because you are. You are. Maybe they don't want me to put them out. I don't know. I'm like, or I'm doing it wrong. I'm like, or I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, Anna says, blow it, Jessica, with a big red heart. That's right. That's right. Blow your horn, because you know what? You are allowed to express joy. Here we go. I was like, there, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You are allowed to express joy. Wow, my hand seriously looks so wrinkly right now. It's not funny. It's funny, not funny. Okay, so you are allowed to express joy. That's right. Hearts on fire. You are allowed to express joy and gratitude in your life with the proper combination of passion and humility. It's healthy. Why? I mean, when you think about it, why wouldn't we be allowed to have a healthy? I mean, it's like, it almost feels kind of sad that we even have to guard that. But it honestly, Jessica, if it makes you feel any better, this is for me too. And I know because my dad is saying, she's not alone. You tell her, you speak your truth too. So, uh, I will speak and express my joy and gratitude of my life and with passion and humility. Okay, so growing up, from the time I was a little, I was just a ball of light, a ball of love. I hugged people. I was just this little ball of light. And I loved to act and sing and be silly. I loved to be the center of attention. I would grab the microphone. And I also, being the youngest, I realized that that's how I would get attention. And I wanted attention because a lot of times, most of the time, I heard more things like, get out of here, you bother me, kids should be seen and not heard. I just had this discussion with people recently about that, right? I grew up in that time period, right? A lot of us did, where we were like, no, 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 no. And being the youngest, I had older siblings that were very talented, had their own gifts, were very good looking, blah, blah, blah. Most of my childhood growing up, it was like, oh, I hope you're going to grow up to be a beauty just like your sister, those kind of things. So I was compared. A lot of us are, when you're compared to your siblings, or it could even be at school. Maybe you have a friend at school that you have classes with, and your teacher's like, I wish you could be more like Jessica. Jessica is quiet. She doesn't say anything. She just sits there. She's beautiful and lovely. Look at that smile. She looks like an angel. Why can't you be more like Jessica? So what does that do? Well, that builds a weirdness between me and Jessica, because Jessica and I love each other and we're friends, right? But those kind of things, those teeny weeny little seeds, they are planted and they are put in there, and that's where the shadow is created. And that is what has been happening for thousands of years. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not tall enough. You're not skinny enough. You're not fat enough. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, insert your story. There is always going to be those who want to squash our joy because they don't have enough fucking courage to live their life with their own passion and humility, right? That's a big deal. It's a really, really big deal. But people, they're going to do what they're going to do. And you can't, that's the thing. You can't control everybody. You just can't. It's not going to work that way. So I think they may want us to have to go back, because I'm getting this vibe like the card doesn't want to be seen. So, okay, so that's that question. I'm going to put it back to this, and I'm going to put it on mute. If you guys want to take either just hang out, or I'm literally going to run to the bathroom, wash my hands, and come back. So you can take a 5-minute break with me, or you can stay here. I don't know if you guys can still talk to each other. If you want to talk to each other, talks amongst yourselves, right? Jessica's like, be right back. Okay, cool. So I'm going to put this on mute, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. All right. Love you. Okay, I'm back. Everybody here? All right. Thank you for staying. I see there's 4 of you. I can't see you if you don't identify yourself, but thank you for being here. But thank you for holding space. So we are back. Also, I don't normally do this, but Spirit said, if you wouldn't mind, can you give this a like? If you are here, can you give it a like? Because it does really help with the algorithms. A lot of things have been happening. I think you can like it, or I think maybe you just like a comment. I don't know. But either way, I just heard, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. It really does make a difference. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna. Anna's still here. Okay, cool. And other people, it's okay if you don't want to speak. So I don't know who the next question is for. Let me see if Spirit wants me to pull more cards before. And wait, do we want to wait for Jessica to come back? No, not right now. Do we want to move on to that card? Okay, I feel like this card, do you want to go into the book today at all? The sad thing about this deck, and I don't want to say sad, so let me rephrase this. Let me find a comfortable dialogue around this languaging. The only part about this deck that I don't look at is the book. And the reason is because whenever this deck was created, it's a really special, awesome, cool deck. But whenever it was created and whomever created the deck, I don't think we're 100% on the same page on our beliefs, our spiritual beliefs. And if you look at some oracle decks, you can tell that they're Christian based or they have a Bible based, whatever. And so I'll just leave it at that. And that's okay because the lessons are still there. I believe they are a doctor or a psychologist or something like that. Let me see. What does it say here? Yeah, Dr. Lisa Schultz. So, I don't know them now. I don't know what kind of conversation it would be now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they were that way when they wrote this and maybe they have come more into their spirituality. I actually kind of feel like I want to check that out. But anyway, I digress. But I feel like also sometimes certain cards, there's so much in the card. The book is awesome, but do you need it? But once in a while, certain things in the book I'll agree with, but it's it'll be sometime I'll be reading the book and then they'll say something and I'm like, whoa, 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 I don't agree with that. I just kind of avoid it altogether. That's why I asked Spirit, do we want to read the book or not read the book? Okay, so we had healthy joy, number 5, expressing joy and gratitude in our life with the proper combination of passion and humility. And basically all Spirit is saying about that is it's okay to love yourself. It's okay. You know what I mean? We have gone through this whole thing of I know my family, the more I got into this, the more I got into that, it was oh my God, you're so full of yourself. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Because everything I did, I would just escalate at. I was just that kind of person, and not everybody was like that. And if they're not like that, or maybe they are, but they didn't have the courage to do it. I don't know. 54, which is also 9 and 9. And we're in a 9-year of change and rebirth, shedding that old skin. And, even when I tell you guys, it's I hear myself and I hear my past, but I don't look at it it's almost I feel like when I'm talking about it, I'm seeing it through my 3rd dimensional scope of the actual, I'm watching a movie, you know what I mean? Because it's my personal experience. And maybe you see it too, because if you have my gifts, you could probably see it too. I feel like we can all see it, you know what I mean? But I shouldn't say my gifts. To see right there, that makes me sound, yay, Jessica's back. That makes me be my gifts. But it's not about that, you know what I mean? It's and maybe this is a message for all of us about breaking that kind of just being so I think that's important. I feel like that's important for us. And thank you, Jessica, for sharing that with us because I asked Spirit if we should wait for you. They said, no, we were basically just, as my family used to say, we were just jaw-jacking about, the reading itself. I felt like we were kind of waiting for you to come back in. So here is the next card. I am going to show it. So on our shadow side from the ego, do they want me to put a flash? No, I guess we don't need a flashlight. I don't think they want me to. I could put it in front of the candle. Does it matter? No. I think I'm thinking too much about it. Okay. I can't get what I want no matter what I do or say. Oh, That's victim mentality. I can't get what I want no matter what I do or say. But did you ever think that divine timing might have something to do with that? Because I know this one. I said this one recently. Okay, but the flip side of that is living in society number 6. Ooh, and today's the 6th day. Interesting. Um, I can find the resources within me to be flexible, energetic, vital, and assertive. I lovingly go after and get what I need. So I can find the resources within me to be flexible, energetic, vital, and assertive. I lovingly go after what I need. So that's what they're saying is like, if you're telling yourself, I can't. First of all, we have got to demolish can't from our vocabulary. I have to work on it every day myself. Um, I can't get what I want no matter what I do or say. That's also that's giving up. I hate to say it, but that's giving up. Because if we really want something, have you ever heard that saying if about the birds that when they're ready to fly, their parents push them out of the nest? Because, right, they'll just keep staying in the nest. It's cozy in the nest. Mama's there. Look at right in the middle. Mama's there. Mama's there. Mama's there, right? Until she's not. And they wouldn't kick them out of the nest if they didn't think they could fly. They're not trying to kill their kid, right? But there comes a time with all of us, My mom kicked me out when I was 19 years old. That's a whole other world, But I just remember, like, she started throwing my clothes. We lived on the first floor of an apartment, and we lived there for a few years, so everybody kind of knew us, or at least your certain neighbors or whatever. And we were right by the pool, like literally, like you walk out our door across the sidewalk, and the pool was there. So if I was sitting outside, my little balcony outside thing, whatever. I mean, hello. I was talking to people all the time. So it was quite a fucking scene. Let's put it this way. If we had cell phones back then, I'm quite certain it would have gone viral. And I'm not even exaggerating because it was a scene. It was a scene. My mom almost got evicted for that. I was evicted that day, but my mom almost got evicted because, it was such a scene. But, the weird thing is she was right. I was ready. I was ready. I mean, I had been on my own since I was 12. My parents pretty much weren't there, So by the time I was 19, my mom was tired of me telling her what to do, telling her, whatever. Me telling her how it was going to go down, it's fucking crazy shit. But you know what happened? I went to everybody. My own father. My dad's having me share this. Oh, Dad. Oh, I've never heard my dad say this. And if you knew my dad in his human life, he says my greatest shame. Oh, Dad, that's okay. Oh, he's so sad right now. I literally just saw him hang his head. He goes, my greatest shame. So I went to my dad for help, and he told me no. And he told me that I would thank him one day, and that I had the resources to do so. I had a good job. He was right. I was making good money. And he was like, go get your own fucking apartment. He's like, why are you still living there anyway? He's like, you don't want to live there. He's like, go get your own place. And I was like, but I don't have any money to get a place. And he's like, you'll figure it out. You know what I did? I got my very first loan. My very first loan. And you know what? A year before that, my mom pressured me to get my very first credit card when I turned 18 because she said it would be easier for me to find my own place when it was time. So she was going to help me build my credit. And I wanted to redo my, like, quote unquote childhood bedroom. And I had a waterbed in high school. I thought it was so cool and all that, but found out as a partier in high school, not so much. My mom said she always knew when I was drunk because she said I always found you in a heap on your clothes on the floor because I couldn't sleep on my waterbed. I'd hurl. I mean, I laugh, but it's not funny. But it's funny, but it's not funny, So anyway, I decided my mom and I were, once you turned 18, we lived in government subsidized housing, the projects. That's okay. I'm proud of it. It made me who I am today. And when I turned 18 and my mom said she thought I should get a credit card and build my credit. I was still in high school. And so I said, I want to, if I'm paying half the rent, I want to turn my bedroom into like a living room because my friends were coming over all the time anyway. My mom's like, I'm sick of, go running to my room to read a book or going over to my boyfriend's who lived in the building, who became my stepdad. And so it was, my mom and I were basically roommates in an apartment together. So I totally tricked out my bedroom to be like a cool like hangout and stuff and a couch and everything. I slept on my couch, got my credit card. Boy, you know what? My mom did me a great service. When I looked down, it was 10213. My birthday's 1213. That's crazy. Hi, Mama. Because my dad wouldn't help me. Nobody would help me. I didn't really have any money. So I went and got my first loan and they said, you got a loan because your credit is so good. My mom made sure that I paid. I said, well, can't I just pay it off? Because I was doing really good. I was making good money. And my mom's like, no. She's like, you want to show them that, you have a credit line and then you can pay it off. And so that's what I did. And then I paid it off. And then when I went to get the loan, they gave it to me. And by the time I turned 21, I had an American Express card. So I had like perfect, perfect, perfect credit. And I could be mad at my dad. I could be angry with him for doing that. And I was, and everybody, you know what I mean? Let me tell you, it became a fucking thing throughout the whole neighborhood that my mom and dad did that my mom kicked me out and that my dad wouldn't help me. So people helped me. Like, people were giving me, money here, there, and everywhere. And I won't go into the whole story and dish on my mom, but I ended up getting stuff for my apartment from money that my mom um, had withheld from me that I didn't know about. Anyway, that's a whole other thing too. But you know what? Parents do things that you don't understand why they're doing it. You don't, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I learned a lot at a very young age that if I wanted to get something, I had to get it myself. And I was the baby, so I was given a lot of stuff for free. You know what I mean? Like my sister and my brother would say shit like, I didn't fucking get that, or I didn't blah, blah, blah. Nobody bought me my first fucking car, like, and I mean, my parents, my mom and my stepdad bought me like a little beater. It's not like they bought me a, you know what I mean? Like they were fucking, we lived in government housing, you know what I mean? But they like saved up for it, had a friend, you know what I mean? And the weird thing is that talk about negative energy. I got so much negative energy from my siblings that I didn't even have the car a few weeks. And my car got broken into and my windows were smashed and whatever. They stole shit out of my car because I was young and naive and I left stuff in my car and I wasn't smart. This is before computers and things. But even that, my parents were like, we can't afford to buy you another one. I had to save and buy myself another car. So, when things come too easy sometimes, spirit puts things into our lives to force us outside of our comfort zone to grow. And I mean, I could tell you my whole life has been like that. I'm sure you could tell me your stories as well. Please feel free to share them. But it says, I can find the resources within me to be flexible, energetic, vital, and assertive. I lovingly go after and get what I want. And I did. And I got my own apartment and I got a new car. And you know what I mean? Like I worked hard for it. I worked two jobs a lot of times just to get what I really wanted and what I needed. I didn't have a social life. I didn't have a boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get to, I mean, I was young, so I like partied hard and worked hard, right? So I could like work a double, go party with my friends and fucking sleep it off and do it again the next day. But I was very young, right? But I'm just saying, like, I'm using myself as an example because my dad is here. And I think because it's Father's Day that, when we look inside of ourselves, a lot of times that strength does come from the yang energy. We need it. We need to dig down deep inside of ourselves and look for that divine masculine to protect ourselves, to, you know what I mean? Because the divine feminine's the nurturer. Now, these are archetypes, right? But they're also forms of us to understand our placement on earth and like why we're in these avatars and these families and these lessons and these experiences. They all make us who we are. So when we have these multiple experiences with all these different people, throughout our lifetime, that's why, Spirit will say to us, some people stay in our lives for 5 minutes, some stay for, forever, and it just depends. We don't know exactly what's going to happen all the time. So I'm going to go dark again. And let me see. I feel like there was a question. Anna, I left home when I was 18 years old too, Lula. Oh my gosh. Well, you were even younger than me. You were even younger than me. I mean, people don't realize, like, it's like, and look at that, Anna. That is right there. That is the gypsy. That is like our like old soul that knows that we're not meant to be there. We weren't meant to be, like, and I was too comfortable. I was too cozy. Jessica, yes, 1 month after I turned 18. I mean, come on. That's that, right? That's not an accident. So maybe they're trying to show us this correlation and say, you guys, like, this is unbelievable. Okay, so I'm going back on because a card just came out and I don't know who this is for, but maybe it was somebody that was here before. So we always want to honor everybody. Maybe if it's for us. If I love someone, it means that it becomes harder for me to speak my mind, especially if I'm angry. Oh, yes. This is why I had to pull away from my family, because when I started to speak my truth, they didn't like me pushing back. They liked it when I was fucking kissing ass and like being the baby, right? And like, don't be disrespectful to your elders. That's the way I was raised. Healthy love number 5. Wow, all of us. It gave us character. Yes, Anna, exactly. It made us the fucking warriors. But you know what's funny? My sister was the same way. My sister moved out. Like I feel like she only stayed to be with me, because I think she was scared of what was going to happen to me, because my parents were both so young, they were in like 35 and 36 when they broke up. So looking back on that now, and we're in our 50s now, right? The three of us. And it's like, they were just babies. I mean, my gosh, I mean, but times have changed. Life has changed. We're all changed. So healthy love number 5, in a loving relationship, by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, I can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle. So again, if I love someone, it means that it becomes harder for me to speak my mind, especially if I'm angry. And so Spirit is saying, but in a loving relationship, by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, I can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle. And I think this is beautiful. I really do. But I have to say, like, for myself, speaking of, because it's coming up, and when Spirit and I just, came together about doing Sacred Sunday, one of the things that I did not want to do was talk about my personal life. I was basically like, can I just like be a Zoltar? Like, that was the only time that I was like, cool, I'll just be a Zoltar machine on Sundays and I'll just make money. People, I see these people, making jokes about the TikTok people where people are like throwing them money and they'll go live and make like $50,000 and a week or whatever. And that's beautiful and that's awesome. And if I was meant to do that, Spirit would have me do that. But it's interesting because I feel like in these kind of situations, they're more intimate because they're very real. And even though I don't want to talk about myself, they want me to share it because we just realized that we had another commonality, which I believe that the three of us have spoke about that at one point, that we were all that age, but it's like, but in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. Like, look at all three of us, and I feel like, again, like it's here for us to talk to each other live, so that, it's like we could be on the phone, but people need these sessions with us. This is basically what I wanted to do. I've actually been talking to Spirit about doing some type of talk show. I've wanted to do a talk show since I was a kid, since my mom was like obsessed with Phil Donahue. I've always like saw myself that way, and I feel like I would be really good, and maybe that's why they were having me do this kind of like podcast format. It was like podcast, not podcast, right? With the shadow, it's like, because we're balancing, right? We're balancing when we're in the light and we're getting, the medicine and the lessons here. And then like when we're like this and we're like, we're cool, like we're fine. Oh, and I looked down, it was 110 and then I went to 111 across the boards, 111s across the board. Because we're angels and wherever two or more gather, we're not just, witches. We're witches, healers, and deep down believers in magic. And I love that. But I do feel like I want to put like angel back in there because I don't think a lot of people understand that witches are angels and that it's just another label. But anyway, going back into the shadow of it, when we cannot move forward, even in a loving relationship, it says by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, I can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle. I love that. But this was made a long time ago, this deck, and this is where I have to have a little bit of a little side note, sidebar, like whatever, like what do they put in there? What are they, not cliff notes or like, but something when they're like, it's been amended, you know what I mean? It's like in a little amend, it's like an asterisk saying, well, because I kind of feel like with that, I feel like I'm yelling, first of all. I tried. I mean, I really tried with my family. I don't think I ever tried that hard, but it really did occur to me when I had the moment that I realized that I was going to have to stop talking to my family if things didn't change. Like I knew I was going to have to, but when I was recently talking about the last time I saw like all my family in one place was at my niece's wedding. And I was just, when I spoke about it, I caught myself because I said, yeah, I wasn't invited to the rehearsal dinner. And then I started talking about how a friend of mine who lived in LA, and I started talking about her whole thing about Thanksgiving. But what I was really trying to get to, it wasn't just about the community part and that people accepting me, whatever. But when that friend of mine got married, I, at that point, barely knew anybody in her family. And I was invited to the rehearsal dinner because, drink some water. Thank you, Spirit. Throat chakra. This is a hard one for me to talk about. Because I was blown away that she invited me, even though she and I had our own little personal best friendship, like relationship on the side. I was like her friend that was like, I was her work friend that became one of her best friends, but people didn't know a lot about me, and she was raised in very religious, very, you know what I mean? Like cultural and like almost like arranged marriage kind of energy, not from her parents because they were amazing, but just like some of the cultures that she was surrounded in. So anyway, when I was invited to the rehearsal dinner, I was really blown away. And I even said to a lot of people, like so many people came up to me and wanted to get to know me and said, who are you and how are you related, because it was so intimate. It was a huge wedding and they were very wealthy. It was a very, like there was like Secret Service there. Like it was that kind of wedding. Black tie, like when I told her, I said, what kind of dress do I need for your wedding? She's like, just think the Oscars. I was like, holy shit. But long story short, so it was a massive wedding, but the rehearsal dinner, she had converted to Judaism for him and his family. And like they did the signing of the ketubah at the rehearsal dinner. It was just a very intimate thing. And I was so honored to be there. Like I kept saying to her afterwards, I was crying. I'm like, I can't believe you invited me to that. She's like, of course. I was so glad. And she's like, and you flew so far. Because I had moved back to Chicago. I met her when I was living in LA, but I moved back to Chicago. So she was like, oh my gosh, you came in here. She's like, of course, So then here I am at my own family's wedding, my own niece, and I was not invited to the rehearsal dinner. And I was staying downtown in the same room with my nieces and their husbands. Like I was there, everybody got together and drove to the place and I was not invited. This is my blood and bone. And I didn't want to be weird about it, but I said something like, oh, am I going to that? Or like, I didn't know, and she was like, oh no, I'm sorry. She's like, it's just for, close family. And exactly, Jessica, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. Exactly. That's when I knew. But you know what, Jessica? Thank you. That's when I knew that I was done with my family. Cause I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the actual fuck? I went to a rehearsal dinner for my best friend in LA's wedding, but like I was there with my family, staying in the same hotel, in there, whatever, and I was not, Anna's like, yeah, it's like, oh, it's fucked up. I know. So it's like the fact that they didn't see that or they didn't expect me to see that was the kind of shit that I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And why I just had to like, I slowly just started like not sending messages to my family for their birthday anymore, not, whatever. And I wanted to see like what would happen. Like, would they reach out to me? Would they, blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of like, it was just too late. I was like, I wasn't an angel, but I apologized profusely over and over and over for years of my bad behavior in my younger years of not understanding who and what I was, but that was just enough. So do I think healthy love, number 5, in a loving relationship by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, it can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle? Yes, I try. But when you get to a point where you're like, it's not working for you, you have to leave. You have to go. You have to end. You have to. If you are telling your family who you are, what you are, you're dressing the way you want to, you're using the dialogue and the languaging that you want to, it was getting to the point where like I was being mocked for my languaging. I was like, enough. And my fucking, my middle fingers were up and I'm like, I'm done. I didn't want to walk away with a fuck you, but it kind of came to an end where I was like, fuck you, man. Like, fuck you. Like I tried. Like there's only so much you can do. And it's the same for like some friends and family of mine that have like lingered away from my life. It's not that I don't want to talk to them or I don't want them in my life, but I'm like, I cannot continue to play in your charade and make believe of this world that is fucking gone. The third dimensional world is over. The fifth dimensional energy is what Earth was born and embraced in. That's what we are. That's where we come from. The shadow taught us. We love it. It's part of us. It will always be here. We love the divine masculine. It is part of us. It will always be here. But enough is enough. And the quote unquote Karens, the assholes, the people who the entitlement, it's like instead of entitlement, why don't you switch that to enlightenment? And that's what woke is. They're like, oh, woke. Yeah, well, woke is just means that I care about other people. Woke means, that I don't like what just happened with that. When I would tell people certain things about my family, I just thought that was normal. The way I was treated, I thought that was normal until other people were like, dude, that's not nice. Your family are mean. And I'd be like, that's just the way we are. We just kind of say it like it is. And they're like, no, they're mean to you. And you let it happen. And it was funny because it was like we were all assholes though. You know what I mean? Like I was what they made me. It's funny because everything they hated about me was everything they fucking co-created me to be. Then when I woke up and I turned around, I was like, I don't want to be like that anymore. I like when I tried to talk to my sister, one of the last times I tried to talk to her, I wanted to like be cute with her and like I just want to like hug her legs and she's like, oh, you're queer. Like, why are you talking to me like that? And I was like, because she can't embrace what she can't embrace. And that's okay. She's not there. She may never, ever, ever fucking find that in this lifetime for herself, the healing, whatever. But, and I'm not here to put her or my family on fucking, whatever. But my dad is here and it's Father's Day and I'm going to honor my father. And I feel like my father is like, you know, he's a little bit of like, okay, slow your roll a little bit, but he's meaning it more like he's feeling me going into the energy of that. And I don't want to possess that energy anymore. And clearly I'm still healing it. So these are the things that Spirit is talking to us about. Let's see if there's another card that maybe I need now too, right? Any more questions? Does anybody have a specific question about anything? Like that's the beauty of this is that like it's no holds barred. This is the kind of deck that will give you the answer no matter what. Okay. So I'm going to flip back on for a second here. And we have intimate relationships interfere with my freedom. So that's interesting. Speaking of, right? Like the only reason my sister is the most beautiful, kind, loving, gentle, beautiful, inside and out creature ever to everybody but me and a few other people. And once she doesn't like you, that's it. There's no forgiveness. There's no like, let me get to know you. Let me get to, and that was our barrier. But that's what interfered with the freedom of our relationship and being the close sisters we once were. We were once. We weren't, it was weird. We weren't for years and years and years, and then we became close. And it's funny because I'm not going to call them out because I don't want to go into that right now, but it's interesting that there was a period of time that there was someone in our family that really bullied me and would like almost like push my sister to bully me too. And so they would kind of bully up against me. So when they moved away was when my sister and I became closer, because this was before internet and phones and all that, right? We became closer because I was getting older and our relationship was changing. Then I moved away. Then that other person moved back. They became really close with my sister again, and here we are today. And I'm going to leave that there because that's my truth of it. That doesn't mean it's true. That's my truth of it. Because intimate relationships interfere with my freedom. What that means is intimacy. If I have to look at the dark side of myself, because being intimate with somebody is showing every bit of yourself. And a lot of people, especially now, we have been bullied and coerced into being, I'm just going to speak frankly, right? Like, you're a fucking pussy. That mentality is what has got us into trouble today with the divine masculine. They're not allowed to be themselves. I've been, working with this beautiful creature recently, and she's been educating me on a lot of insight into the divine masculine. And, one of the things was we were talking about that, where is especially in our generation, it's like each generation you can see the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and which one is like more, like coming up front. And now we're getting these generations where they're like, you became too soft, pull it back, you know what I mean? And it's confusing. And it's confusing for all of us, because even as the divine feminine, if you're a divine feminine, like you identify as a quote unquote woman, we still have our divine masculine. It's like, where do the boundaries go? Where do we let go of the boundaries? Where do we push up the boundaries? It's very confusing. That's what they want right now. They want us all to feel confused. And the intimacy is where the love lies. They don't want that. They don't want that. So if somebody has to think and feel, it interferes with their freedom, right? Because then they can't just keep, having their fucking mochaccino, frappuccino, 2 shots, latte, blah, blah, spin it around, throw it in the air, you know what I mean? Fucking drink every day. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I see these movies or TV shows where they're like, oh, do you want your blah, 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 blah? I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, do people really order like that? Because I was like, I know they do, but like, are they really exaggerating, But then you'll like stand in line. Like once in a while I will go and treat myself to, some fun drink or whatever. And then you hear somebody say that, but that's how they want it, right? So it's like, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting where we just have all these like little kind of separations, you know what I mean? So intimate relationships interfere with my freedom. Living in society too. Interesting that I spoke of that, and this is a living society card, and I was talking about a coffee shop. It is possible to maintain one's individual creative identity and also be in an intimate, committed relationship. If I'm being real, I feel like this is what's happening in my personal world right now, because I feel like it's hard for, I feel like if you've been in a relationship for a really long time and you're changing, but like you're not changing at the same pace, you're gonna have this conflict. Recently, when I was working with this beautiful light worker, they, had said, you don't have to wait for him. You don't have blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think people understand. And I'm not saying that this is true, but I felt a lot what was coming from them was like what happened to them, right? Because we mirror our own things back to somebody like, hey, you seem like a good person. I learned this lesson. I'm going to show you this lesson because maybe you need it. And, I was like, well, I'm like, I don't think you understand, and they're like, yeah, but twin flame or not. I'm like, yes, but I think it's even beyond that. I think for some of us, we connected, our energy to certain people, especially romantic, to those that are, we can feel that there's something there that's like, it's like an invisible string, you know? And so I keep asking spirit, I'm like, can I just cut the string? I mean, why don't I just go do my thing? They'll do their thing. But what I'm getting is that in some of the divine masculines, they need to be around divine feminine. They need a certain pull. Like right now, it's like, it's almost like he and I are like, it's like we're on, like, let's just say we have a yacht and then we have a little boat, little tugboat that takes us to the land, like drink some water. Speak your truth. So the visual I'm getting is like a yacht and like, so this is for a lot of our stories right now. As this is what I'm getting from spirit, is a visual of like, if we're the yacht and the tugboat is our boat that helps us get between the water and the land, right? Because we don't want to, there's like no dock to get our boat there, but we want to go on that little island. So we put our anchor down on the big boat and then we take the small boat and we go off to the island. And it's kind of like Alder and I were like on the big boat with our little tugboat, and we got on the boat together and we went across to the island and we hung out. We had a really good time. And then I was like, all right, let's go back. And they're like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, I really love it here. And I mean, I love you, but like, I love me more. And I think I just want to stay here right now. And I kind of feel like that's the analogy they're giving us with the divine masculine right now. Some of them are just like off in their own little world, on their own little island. Some of them are in the tugboat driving around, seeing the world because that's what they need to see. And some of us need to be the anchor. And so that's the vibe that I got from spirit, is that they're like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I'm so proud of myself. I've been doing so much spirit work and meditating and dealing with this traffic and learning like how to keep my boundaries really strong. Archangel Michael and I and Raphael, like I've been working with all of them really. But definitely like those three are, and Metatron, I was going to say, those three I've been like really like, I can feel it. And, my spirit guide showed me this like many moons ago, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. They showed me that I was going to get to a place that I would be able to meditate and do a reading, basically in the middle of rush hour in the subway station in New York. And I never thought I'd be able to get there. And now I'm realizing that I am, because I can feel how much energy I have to push back for these readings. But you guys are also anchoring me, by coming here, by showing up, by being part of the tribe. Our numbers are growing, but not everybody, oh, thank you, Anna. Not everybody understands. Thank you. Speaking of strength, not everybody understands how much strength that takes, but not only that, but it's not like, oh, look at me, I'm so strong. It's, but it's for you too. You're still here. You're still fighting. You're still going. You're showing up. You're showing up. So, exactly. We're walking the walk. You have to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. You got to do it all. Thank you, Anna. Exactly. So I feel right now we have come to a precipice of growth that we have never seen before on the planet. And it will go back to the fifth dimensional energy, but they're not going to go down without a fight. So we are going to see certain things. We have to hold our heads high. We must seek the light every day. We must seek the loving energy every day. When the Tom Petty songs played back to back, it was like, I just felt it so strongly, and I knew what he was saying. He was just like, just put your loving heart out there, like smoke another joint, just like kick back, fucking laugh, have a good time, be yourself, and it's, to some people, it's kind of blasphemous, right? They're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like the world's on fire. It's like, exactly, the world's on fire. So what the fuck, what am I going to do? Bring more, listen to that, right? Like bring more noise, more loud, more obnoxious energy. Am I going to do that? No. I'm going to light this motherfucker up with so much sunshine and happiness and joy. This is the summer of sunshine, man. It's the summer of joy. And for our southern hemisphere family, it's going to be the winter of sunshine, the winter of joy. However you want to celebrate it, right? Go inward. I know what you got to do. But, but I feel like we all like I feel like this next, because right now, literally right now, we are at this is it. Friday. I think it's Friday. Let me look at my calendar. I think it's Friday. Yeah, Friday's solstice. So we've got 5 days. This is it, of spring, fall, whichever hemisphere you're in. We love our family. We're everywhere. We're little push pins all over the world. I love it. I mean, even now, like, I don't know who the other ones that are here, but for sure, like I know Jessica is in Nevada and Anna is in the UK and I'm, in the Pacific Northwest. So, you know, we've got push pins everywhere. One of our other tribe members, she's in Hawaii now, I believe. I haven't had a chance to reach out to her, but they're in Hawaii, so it's like it's quote unquote America, but like there's another little like island, speaking of island, like continent, right? So we've got a lot going on, and spread the word, spread the love, spread the magic. Give us likes, all the hearts, the comments, all that stuff is very helpful. The shares, Spirit's really been amping up my shorts lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we've been growing in numbers on both channels. It's very exciting, especially in a time where they're trying to push the light back. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Exactly. Like little hearts, like all those little things. When you guys do that, it pushes the algorithm up. And any type of, especially when I'm going live, I was watching this thing that Spirit drew to me, and when you guys are interacting like this, it pushes up the algorithms. It's showing that there's interaction, because otherwise it's like then I'm just live and it's like, is this on? You know what I mean? It's like, is anybody here? And that's okay. I mean, the first one I had, of course, we had so many people. I didn't know it at the time, but that's because Spirit was having me do a Zoltar machine kind of thing. But it was meant to bring people in. It was meant to let people know that I was here, to let, they needed their question answered. We had they were light workers as well, but they needed a question answered. So their karma was good. Spirit sent them in. You know what I mean? Like, we're so connected right now. So the fact that we're like, this is it. This is the last Sunday of spring, the last Sunday. Yay! Exactly. Woohoo! This is the last Sunday of spring. This is the last Sunday of fall for our Southern Hemisphere family. And now we'll be going into either the cocoon energy of the winter, or some people go into cocoon energy in summer too, but we're getting more into like the lazy days of summer. And I for one am telling you, I can't wait, because my whole body is aching and hurting today because I worked on the yard yesterday and I didn't realize. I told myself I'd give myself an hour. I ended up working like 4 hours with like machinery, and like my whole body just like hurt today. And that, with the weed whacker thing, oh, it was a lot. I mean, I did it down to like the whole thing, down to the nub, down to it. It literally like ripped off. You know what I mean? Like it was like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'm like, I'm done. But it's good. It's good. It's been really good for me to interact with nature and to be outside. I'm in the best shape I've been in some ways, and in other ways I've gotten kind of lazy, but I'm going to start walking again. I need to get some walking shoes. I told Alder, I'm like, maybe this week, I'm like, can we go somewhere? I'm like, I need like gym shoes, or like hiking boots, or actually I need both. I need hiking boots and I need gym shoes, but those are hard for me. Oh, Jessica, I was going to tell you too. I know you said that you want to build a box for me. Shoes are super hard. So use your pendulum, because shoes are so hard for me. I have them. I know you said what size. I know. I remember that from your last request. And it's hard because in certain shoes I'm 7.5, and other shoes I'm 8.5. Like, it's just hard. So use your pendulum. But some, it's like, I'll get a 8.5 boot, but like in the winter I'll wear thicker socks. I'm a size 8. It's just weird. I have very interesting feet. I have kind of long, narrow feet. Oh, I love it. Then it'll probably fit me. But use your pendulum anyway, because I hate for you to pay for the weight. You know what I mean? Or if your pendulum says yes, maybe they're meant to come up here and I can, donate them, because we have a lot of like, homeless encampments and stuff where I live. So whatever's meant to be will be. I'll leave that. I'll leave it to you. Honestly, I leave it to you. Send whatever. I love it all. I love it all. I love it all. I know you said something about a vitamin C serum. I'm really curious about that, because I'm out in the sun a lot, even though with my sun hat. So like good skin stuff. Like I was saying, my hands, I'm like, my hands are looking a little rough, but that's because my hands are looking a little rough. I've been working with my hands a lot outside, and I do wear gloves. But by the way, a butterfly just flew by. So, okay, let's see. Do we have any more questions, Spirit? Do we have any more? I love hanging out with you guys, though. I really look forward to the Sacred Sundays. I know the timing isn't exactly ideal for everybody, but this is the timing that they had me go. And it kind of makes sense. Midnight and noon are kind of universal times in a weird way. You know what I mean? Because at some point in the day, obviously, some people are sleeping or whatever, but like those seem to be the times where people are the most active on like both sides of the world. I don't want to say all sides of the world. Okay, so our question is, or our statement is, our ego says, yay, me too, nice energy. Woohoo! Okay, that was from Anna. Okay. Even when I fall in love or befriend others, I find a lot wrong with them after a while. Oh, that's interesting. I used to go through that when I was younger. I was watching this movie, by the way, you guys, if Spirit draws me to. I didn't finish it because I was getting sleepy and I really wanted to watch it, but it's called The Female Brain or something. And I thought it was this other movie and I thought I had seen it. And last night, Spirit really pushed me to watch it. And I was like, oh, okay. It made so much sense. But I feel like we all need to watch this movie because all the people that are involved in the movie are the kind of people that I feel like would make sure that these were facts, like that they would research the information about the female brain and the male brain. But it's so fucking fascinating. Now, I didn't finish it and I have a feeling I know where it's going, but I think it's not for us to live by. I think the moral of the story is that she's a scientist and whatever, but I think the moral of the story is like we need to take into account that the way that we were designed, right? Like they've done studies on our brains, but they said we need to study more of the female brain because they've studied mostly male brains. Did you know that? I didn't know that, but that kind of makes sense. So they're finding out all these different things about in the anatomy that wasn't discovered before. So that's really fascinating. So I think that's interesting because a lot of women in the divine feminine tends to find wrong. And the only thing, well, we both do it to each other. But for women, it's because we are in our brains, we're kind of wired to have more of a nitpicky, like whatever, where men, the male brain has more of like a, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care if it's slovenly. I don't care, but it's interesting because if they're going to study the male brain and the female brain, well, then that means like, then wouldn't they have to like study all brains? Meaning like, what about somebody who's quote unquote gay? Like, in their brain, where does their divine feminine, you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like, I feel like if we're going to go with science, like, I want to know in terms of scientific facts, what brains have they studied? What people, what are their backgrounds? What are their, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of interesting. It's kind of, again, like the chicken and the egg. Were we wired that way? Or is this something that's showing up on like our frontal lobe or our temporal lobe? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucking interesting. And I feel like moving forward, the reason why the third dimensional energy is having such a hard time is because we came into, hold on, they're having me pause for a second. Not pause with you, but pause in the visual because they want us to think about this for a second. Because over time, we have gone through different ages, Ice Age, I mean, we can go through so many different and periods, Renaissance, but we have been in the industrial age for quite some time. And industrial is like machines, trains, planes, automobiles, you know what I mean? Like that kind of energy, the industrial like side of it. Now we have been going into the technology side of it, which is why, oh my gosh, Jessica, do you want me to say that or not? Or you want to just keep that to yourself? I was like, because I just felt something when you said that. That's interesting. That's really interesting. And like, if you're watching this, you can see it. But, I don't think you can see the comments. No, but she says, I feel a movie coming on based on what the brain looks like. But seriously, I mean, it kind of makes sense. She's like, ha, ha, ha. But it does make sense, right? Because again, it's just another form of like, well, it depends. Like if you need a control group, you can't just go by one brain when we have different species. It's like, I would like to see the scientific facts behind like, all of it, like putting up, a monkey because they use monkeys a lot, bless their sweet little souls, it's horrific and gross, right? But they use animals. So it's like, I get that they want to test the brain, but they should be doing it, in a way that's, it's like, because what they did was they would put people in these scanners and show them pictures, and they supposedly, according to this movie and whatever, that men, it's like the divine masculine energy. It's like they don't have the same, they're not wired the same, right? According to this study, according to this movie, they show them that a man, when they show him a baby, isn't like, oh, how cute. He's just like, okay, next, like, but when they show a woman, right, and they show a baby, they're like, oh, how cute, So if these are facts, if these are true, if these are scientific experiments and are true, it's like then it lends to believe that it would make sense that the battle between the divine feminine and the divine masculine is going to be this way. It also but the reason why I'm saying like then they need to check brains of everybody, because okay, so what about somebody who is in a relationship? Like one of my really good friends, she's a woman. She married a woman, and she said, I thought when I got together with her, I thought that it was going to be easier because, blah, blah, blah. She's like, but she's like a man. Like she thinks like a man. She acts like a man. She talks like a man. She's like, and sometimes I'm like, why am I like, and I would, kind of tease them and say, well, think of it this way. Maybe, God, goddess, the creator, whatever you want to, whatever. And like, maybe they're trying to show you like, that's what you need to work with. It doesn't matter what they identify with inside, outside, sexually, whatever. Like that energy, that person, that level of masculinity is what you need, the lessons that you need in this lifetime. If you're in a relationship where everything's too fucking easy, I've shared with you guys one of my favorite stories from my grandmother was, this woman who would brag and brag and brag about how perfect her relationship was, her marriage, and that, everybody always was like, oh, she has the most perfect marriage. And everybody was so envious of them that it burned my grandma's butter. And she was like, you know what? Nope, nope. So finally one day she just fucking called her out and was just like, you've never gotten one fight, no, nothing. She's like, no. And she's like, well, then one of you is absolutely unnecessary. She's like, how are you supposed to grow? How are you supposed to change and evolve and become the person you're supposed to be if you are with a yes person your entire life that never challenges you, that you never change? So a lot of us light workers, starseeds, we are in relationships that are more in like a twin flame identified quote unquote relationship, or in soulmate, stigma soulmate, the love part of it, relationship beyond, because you can have soulmates that are your family, your dog, you know what I mean? But you can be with someone your entire life that's your soulmate, but maybe it is someone that would be like a twin flame that is your significant other. Okay, Jessica said rewriting brains with both energies. Exactly. Oh, that's so poignant. That's so brilliant, Jessica. Rewiring, excuse me. Oh, look at that. I saw writing. Oh, rewiring brains with both energies. Exactly. That's what's happening right now. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's not just one or the other. It's like we're seeing the 50 Shades of Grey, right? And not just in a fun little naughty novel, right? Like we're seeing the 50 Shades of Grey, and that we've been in this black or white mentality and the third dimensional energy for way too fucking long. Oh, Anna said it. Oh, sorry, Anna. Sorry, Anna said that, but I was thinking it. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, cool. Sorry, Anna. That's right. I give my props where props are due. Because when I'm channeling, it's like I'm looking down and I'm trying to read it, but I don't have my glasses on either. So please, thank you for correcting me. Thank you so much. I really love that when people, because I'm like in it. I'm in the soup. I'm in the sauce. But yeah, and it's also because wherever two or more gather, and we're just getting stronger, and there's more of us, and we're seeing, we're growing, we're understanding like this facade of the bullshit. I mean, I don't know everything because the media is so fucking staunchly fucked up right now, and everything is like, who's telling the truth anymore, right? But I will say, what'd you say, Anna? We have both, I think. Yes, we both have masculine and feminine, right? That's what I'm saying. So when they're doing these testing on our lobes and our brains and like all this stuff, it's like, that's why I'm like, I want to know more about who's being tested, and like, because I think that has something to do with it. But they're saying across the board, men do this and their brain lights up, and women do this in their brain when it lights up. So they can kind of like, and I think I didn't get through the whole movie, like I said, but I think there was a part where she's like, oh, look, it's getting a little red there. It's getting a little red there, meaning like that he was having some sensitivity when they showed him something else. But I think it was a picture of a truck or something. And so they were like laughing because they're like, oh, they're having sensitive, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, of course, he's like, oh, look at that truck, right? But if that's the way, is it a masculine thing, or is it that guy that like is looking at the truck through quote unquote masculine eyes, or is he looking through it because he was raised to be masculine and trucks were for boys? And you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's so fucking, it's, the rabbit hole is so deep. So, you know, I feel like we're going to be going through the war of consciousness is what I believe is going to really be happening with us over the next, you know, several years. Anna's trying to rewire more of my feminine side. Yes, Anna, I have been too. You know what? I realized that when I am looking cute and my hair and my makeup and all that, that's when my feminine really comes out. And so I feel more comfortable though with no makeup, being natural, not coloring my hair. Like that feels more like me. And so I have been going more with that flow. And but then I recently looked around and I was like, yeah. Then I bought myself 3 peonies flowers, and just that energy, the smell, seeing the pink flowers, I was like, oh, I want to be pretty. And what am I wearing right now? A little dress. It does make a difference. So it's like, it's the rewiring. So there is just so much on so many levels. We are complex beings. We've barely scratched the surface of what humans can do. Or I should say, we have seen what humans can do, but over a lot of lifetimes and generations, it's been like broken and beaten out of us, that we're limited. We're limited, right? Right? But together we're unlimited, right? Elphaba and Galinda, right? Like, you think that's an accident either, right? Like, to show us, and they broke it up into 2 movies because over the next 6 months, you know, we're gonna see some intense stuff. You know, the last readings I was getting from Spirit that, you know, a lot of things are going to happen between now and December. And I just think, you know, the more we stay in the light, the more we stay in love, the more connected to our divine feminine is what is needed right now. So let's get to the back side of that card. So it said, let me refresh our memory. So even when I fall in love or befriend others, I find a lot wrong with them after a while. That's the ego talking. But in healthy anger too, right? Healthy anger, I learn to love both the positive and the negative aspects of others as I grow to love my own strengths and weaknesses. It's interesting because whenever I would see like Alder's shadow, I would make jokes about it. I didn't want him to feel shame around it because I wanted him to know that I understood that that's where he's supposed to be. But recently I've gotten more towards where I'm like, okay, but now it's like kind of gone too far. And I feel like that's where Spirit is trying to show us where we need to help the divine masculine right now, is that we have to learn to love both the positive and the negative aspects of others as we grow to love ourself and our own strengths and weaknesses. We're not gonna, some of us will never change certain parts of ourselves. You know, I said to Spirit the other day, am I always going to love food this much? Because I love food, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. I just love food and I love to eat. And they're like, yes, and it's okay. You know, they're like, you just have to make sure that you're balancing your, like, how much exercise you're getting. Because I love that I'm getting stronger, but I can feel that certain tasks are a little bit harder because I'm not in as good of shape, and I'm not in as good of shape because I haven't been walking, and I haven't been walking because I don't have good shoes. You know what I mean? And it's like, but come on, I at any time I could have got the shoes, but I've asked Spirit a few times. I'm like, should we go now? Should I, you know, is this a good week? You know, is this a good day? You know, but also Alder and I are, our paths just haven't aligned where like we can go and do that on the same day. So sometimes it's just the energy. It's not that it's not right now or right this minute or even this week. It's like, you know, this week is very vague, you know. So they're trying to get us to be more crucial in our thoughts and our words, and but also not being hard on ourselves if we don't have the languaging set, you know, skill set yet acquired to, you know, bring us the best version of ourselves. We're a work in progress, you know. one of my childhood friends, that was their saying, you know, we're all a work in progress. And I loved it, and I always believed in it. And I said, yes, we're all a work in progress as long as we're acknowledging that we're a work in progress. If we don't acknowledge it and we just keep, you know, yoga pantsing phrases and whatever and saying whatever, but we're not actually applying the energy, you know. So on the days that I can't walk, I do yoga or I work outside, you know. But I'm finding that getting in touch with certain parts of myself, like I feel like I was like, oh, I can't use the weed whacker, I'm a girl, you know what I mean, like I'm not strong enough to like whatever. So yesterday I felt like it was almost like a testament to see how long I could go, and I kept taking breaks, and I'd put it down and I would go and trim or cut branches or whatever. Like I just kept working, and then I would go back to it and go back to it. And when I woke up this morning, I'm like, holy fuck! I'm like my core, because I was like, you know, you have to hold it a certain way. So I was like, that's it. I'm like, my core's gonna be so strong. And I kept telling myself as I was using the weed whacker how strong I was, how strong my core was, and everything. And last night I know I stretched before, and then I stretched after, and then I didn't sleep very well last night. I was hurting. I could feel it setting in. And when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, because I overdid it. I did. I was like 4 hours, man, like balls to the wall. I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I pushed it a little too hard, but it's okay because my body needed that. My body needed to say, okay, what can I handle? What can I not handle? We have to push our bodies a little bit, you know, right? Like the warning, Will Robinson. If it's going off inside, like where you're like, there were moments where I literally like sweat was like pouring down, and like I got like one of my spirit guides was like, "You're doing a great job. You need to stop right now." And I felt this energy of like, you are really strong. Yes. You are in pretty good shape for your age. Yes. But like heart attacks happen to everybody. They're like, slow the fuck down. It's the middle of the day. It's hot. It's summer. Like, slow your roll, you know? So we need to listen to that when that comes in, you know, call it your higher self, call it your spirit guide, all of the above. I personally feel different energies and entities around me all the time. So I definitely give them like their do. So I say my spirit guides, or, you know, I don't name them off all the time. Earlier, I spoke of the archangels because they were present and I wanted to speak of them. But, you know, it's really just about connecting to our energy field right now. We have to love both sides of ourselves. So, in this blessed, you know, Father energy, I mean, you know, I feel like here's the thing I get from spirit, because people ask me this question a lot. They say, do you think that we're meant to be monogamous? I get that question. I get, do you think being gay is like a sin? Like, do you think, I mean, we do procreate? And I'm like, no, because here's why. If, I mean, think about this, birth control has been around forever. They just had different forms of it, right? You can drink a tea and abort a baby. A lot of people don't know that. There are many ways to have abortions that aren't in a facility where, you know what I mean? There are many ways, okay? And I'm just saying, like, because the seed is the seed and the womb is the womb, and not every, right? Like, do you think people were pulling out? You know what I mean? I grew up with the pull-out method. You know what I'm saying? Like before, like when they made AIDS, you know, the gay man's disease and all that, because they were like, they didn't like what was happening in the 70s when, you know, the age of Aquarius started and people were coming more out of the closet. They didn't like that. They wanted them to stay very securely, firmly behind the door. All the freaks, weirdos, we would be included in that, right? It's happening right now. The protest is because now people are speaking their truth, and they're saying, I'm going to be who I want to be. I'm going to be who I was meant to be. And I'm going to love who I want to love. And I'm going to fuck who I want to fuck. And it's really none of your fucking business, because that's the truth. That's the free will. And that's the freedom for the United States. That's why it was built. Without the bullshit of religion, it's like it's like we've literally, the fact that he's even bringing out things about being a king, it's like you are missing the whole entire point. I was going to talk about this earlier and I didn't, but they're having me talk about it again. I don't know if it's true or whatever, but apparently this $45 million parade that Trump put on for the 250th anniversary of the Army, which happened to also fall on his birthday, you know, apparently in his first, he tried to do this in his first term, and they're like, oh, a lot of countries do this and blah blah blah, and he's like, it's known, and they're like, yeah, but it's we haven't done it. It hasn't. I didn't know this, but it hasn't been done in America since 1991. So maybe because they're like $45 million can feed people. $45 million. Like, what do we need all this for? What they did instead was they would bring like one tank and one truck and whatever, and people could take pictures in front of it. But it wasn't, sending these tanks that can ruin the streets and whatever down the, you know what I mean? It's like to have him raised up like a king. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? That's monarchy behavior. That's old. That's exactly what we escaped. And like they've been coming in the underbelly and the underground. You know what I mean? And it's like this war has been going on every continent, through every time and place, through, it doesn't matter if it's men and women, divine masculine, divine, you know what I mean? It's like this shit has been going on for a long time. Whoever has the most toys wins. You know what I mean? Like this shit's been going on for so long. And people like us, we are the original, we're the OGs of Earth. You know? The Lemurians, the Atlanteans, like we were here first. I was reading about Osiris and Isis and leaving Atlantis, to start Egypt. Like I'm like all these things, like it's the histories they don't want us to know, the things they don't want us to see, that are basically the same fucking stories. We're all the same peoples playing the same roles over and over and over and over and over and over again. Except for it's now declined into this, place because of greed. And the internet was like, everybody's like, I want to be famous. They're like, ooh, look at this. Don't you want to be like us? And so it just gave more of a riptide through the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We're the parting of the Red Sea right now. And we're on one side and they're on the other. And it's like all this constant battle of like, who's going to win? Who's going to, It was time for the crud to be pulled out in the open in this country. It's ugly, but like the snake purging the skin. Exactly, Jessica. Wise words, dude. Take a screenshot of that. Can I take a screenshot? I don't remember. But anyway, wise words. Yes. Take a screenshot on your phone if you don't mind and send it to me, because I'm going to put that in one of our things. Because it's so true. It's exactly right. That's exactly right. Anytime you guys put a screenshot in and I say something, or anytime you guys put anything up there and it sounds good, take a screenshot and send it to me, and I can put it in our little montages that Spirit has me do, the messages from Spirit. Sometimes they have me keep things and I'm like, why? Like, we're done with that. But then they'll have me put it in a montage like 2 years later and I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, you get where this is going. This is all predestined. This was all meant to happen. This was all, you know what I mean? It's like, so they know it too. And that's why they're doing these kind of things. But to me, that's so grotesque. If I was the president, the last thing I would want to do is spend $45 million. I mean, yes, I want to commemorate the military, but they're like, let's see if they do it for the Marines, because the Marines are also having their 250th anniversary this year. They're like, is he going to do another $45 million parade for the Marines? Not on his birthday, right? It's not on his birthday. So that's kind of interesting, These are the kind of things that people don't want to see, that they want you to see. It's like the things that are right in your face. I was, and also look at things that are happening outside the country. Spirit had me look at this interview with, I don't know what her position is in Taiwan, but it was an interview and it was somebody from the Taiwanese. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if she's a government official. It didn't say what her title was. It was just like in this short thing, and Spirit didn't have me go any further. But basically she was talking about like how there are a lot of things going on in the world that people don't want you to see either. Like that I don't know what his title is, and it's not king. I don't think it's prime minister, but whatever president, whatever of Taiwan, whatever his title is, he's up for re-election, I think at the end of next year, either at the end of this year or the end of next year. And she was saying these are the kind of things people have to look at, because Taiwan is the same. Like they're trying to fully break away from China. And like China is like all these like smaller, like kind of what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. It's like they're seeing that they all want to break apart. They don't want to be part of that anymore. They want to be their own country, their own, because they're a culture. They're not just a country, they're like a culture. And I think over the next 50 years, we're going to see a lot of that. And that's why I think that I keep getting these visions of like one Earth, and that there'll be like one leader of the planet, but it won't really be like a leader. It'll be like kind of like how the nine are right now in the universe, right? Like the nine, some people say the nine are all Arcturians. Some say that they're an Arcturian, Assyrian, Illyrian, you know what I mean? Like that they're from all different like parts of the universe, and they're like one council. So it's all in what you believe in. I mean, I've been working with the nine since I started, and I've seen them in all different ways. So I don't believe they're all Arcturian, but I can see if they were, because the Arcturians, as far as my understanding of the other species and the other energies that have presented themselves to me that I've worked with, I can only go by the entities that I've worked with, but they are the most intelligent. They are love-based. They feel the most connected to the godlike creator source that I can understand. So, and I feel that if anything, maybe the angels are Arcturian. I don't know. There could be a lot of different things, but I mean, there's just so many ways to look at things and labels and titles. It's really hard. I think they just kind of start to blend together, if that makes any sense. So, but I believe that Earth will eventually fall back into that, because I feel like that's what Earth was. I think that there probably was. And then the fall of Atlantis and Lemurian was because of the greed and the power. And, so this isn't the first time this has happened on planet Earth, where we've had some type of wanting to take over, wanting to, you know what I mean? It's like, it's human, quote unquote, but it's also human to love. The source that we come from is love. We are love. So, yes, we needed to have this energy. That's why some people believe that the divine source is feminine, because it's a loving source, but maybe they wanted to, maybe they started to have dark thoughts that branched off into the divine masculine. So, I mean, some people believe that. They believe that God is, quote unquote, the creator is a woman, because they created, the shadow came from a natural energy of wanting to do something else, which created like going away from, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so hold on. So this says, holy crap, I've been smelling cigarette smoke all week, and it just hit me in the eyes and burned. My dead ex-husband's boy's father, I think. Interesting. Okay, so if this helps you, my dad and my stepfather were both chain smokers before they quit. Like my dad would put a cigarette down and leave it, and he would go do something, and like it would burn out, and he'd come back, and like the ongoing joke with my dad is my dad smoked 2 packs a day, but only paid for one, and only smoked, or paid for 2, but only smoked one. And it might also be when I had my first with like a channeling circle like this, the medium who ended up becoming one of my first shamans that I worked with, she like said the same thing, and she got this visual, like she said my dad down to a T. She's like, I'm seeing this guy going fast in a car, and he's drinking a beer, and he's smoking a cigarette. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's my dad. And I barely knew her. She didn't know anything about my father or anything. And like, I mean, my dad like worked on cars for a living before he, had to stop because he, got sick from working on cars. And, so there you go. Yeah. So there you go, Jessica. That's a wink, wink from spirit to let you know that like you got the good, you got the gifts, you got the gifts, right? Like it was the same thing for me and her. Like the first channeling circle I went to, I knew everything she was going to say for each person before she said it. And afterwards I was like, what the fuck is going on? How come I knew that? And she started laughing. She's like, I knew you would. She's like, I knew you would. She's like, I had a feeling. She's like, cause whoever two more together, bitches. She's like, or witches or something. And then she said bitches, and she was being funny. She was much younger than me. She was really funny, full of so much life and exuberance. But so that makes sense. But yeah, so and my dad's like, they really challenged me, and they gave me a lot. So it doesn't surprise me that they're here. So I feel like they gave us a lot to think about and to understand about ourselves. Do we have any more cards? Are there any more? Are there any more questions? Do you guys have any more questions? Anybody? Or did anything come up while I was talking? Or did you have anything come up in like your story? Or do you have a father that's passed? Ooh, this one just jumped into my hand. So I don't know who this is for, but it says, stress goes straight to my head. I tend to get headaches and have eye and ear problems. Oh, say it, don't spray it. Okay, stress goes straight to my head. I tend to get headaches and have eye and ear problems. Wow. Oh my gosh. Is this what's going on with you, Jessica? I know you were saying you weren't feeling well. That's interesting. Well, you know what? I when I know I'm really stressed is my left eye starts twitching. Every time I get stressed, my left eye starts twitching, like really stressed. And that's when I know that something's got to change in my life. So it says, Jessica, good Lord, whoever came in came to offer healing. Oh, yay. Well, that makes sense because at their core, both of my fathers, um, they both were very loving, healing individuals. They really were. So that makes a lot of sense. My year has been awful. And my kidney, ooh, kidney is anger. If you're holding, you must be holding on to some anger somewhere because when your kidneys are bothering you, it has to do with anger. I have a chart. I'll post it on my channel today. I just saw something with it. I have a chart somewhere. I just ran across it. It was probably for you. So, okay. So the healthy body. So they're saying healthy body number 6. I have a healthy, flexible, balanced way of seeing, thinking, and reacting to the world around me. So, Jessica, I feel like your mission, should you choose to accept it, is at the beginning of this when you said, is it me? Is it me? I'm not feeling well. I love that you love everybody and that you're concerned about that. And that's awesome. But then just don't show up or don't speak or say when you come on, I put healing energy around me and everything, but just let you guys know I'm not feeling well, right? Because I'm going to call upon the healing energies too. Because some of us, we just care. You're carrying I'm getting the vibe from spirit that we're just caring a little bit too much about how everybody is feeling and thinking. I do the same thing. I mean, lately, I'm gonna share something really personal with you. I don't even care. I'm just gonna share it with you. I don't even send a message anymore to Alder unless I use my pendulum, because I don't know. I don't want to tap into his energy, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like whatever he's going through or working through, his shadow, that's his fucking business. And we're so connected that, I mean, when we get together, like in the car, like we feel certain things. So I'm always like, where is he at? Or I'll say to spirit, if we're going to run errands, I'm like, can you play me a song and let me know where his energy is so I can kind of, and then I'll say, which cannabis should I have? And you know what? I noticed that when I do that, it's a few extra steps, but those 3 or 4 extra steps will make a much more pleasant experience for both of us. And I really could care less. You know what I mean? Because I could be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Or I could be like, cool, look at those trees. You know what I mean? Like I can go either way. And I feel like that's the flexibility they want us to have. So, especially when you are surrounded by, you and Anna, you guys have children and families, extended families, you live with people. When you live with people and you have extended family and animals and all that kind of stuff, it's like there's so much energy happening. So we have to be really mindful of that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we completely exit our own self-care, or, you know what I mean, put others' energy before our own, especially in situations where maybe other people need extra help. That's cool. But also, are we over helping? Because when we over help, today, this little tiny little sweet baby jumping spider was so fucking cute. I couldn't take it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. And I just wanted to play with it. But it was in an area that I had put a lot of like garlic and like just like icky stuff, to keep the critters out. But I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, I couldn't remember. In that split second, I'm like, do spiders smell? Is this going to bother them? And I'm like, here, why don't you get on my hand? I'm like, I'll put you somewhere nice. I'm like, you want to go on a plant? And I was like talking to the spider. And the more I'm trying to get him to go on my hand, the more he's jumping away, and I could feel his fear. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I realized I was meant to teach him, boundaries, that he was like, when he gets to a point where he feels safe enough, he'll know whether he could jump on me or not. But it's good for him because unfortunately, not all humans can be trusted around spiders, right? Not all humans care or love spiders the way that I do. I used to hate them and be afraid of them myself. And I don't use that hate word often, but I really did. I was petrified and terrified and all those other words. And, but then I realized they were like, no. And I just got the vibe from spirit to leave them be. And I confirmed with my pendulum and I left them be. And I'm like, okay, so either it's a lesson they're going to learn, or, whatever it is. They were just like, don't help him. Let him figure it out. He'll figure it out. And as parents, I just know even though we know my history, but it's like, even with animals, it's like, whatever type of parenting role you put yourself in, even with your parents or your significant others or your siblings, I always tell people, when you're in a love relationship, it's there's a fine line between parenting and like looking out for another person. But if someone is going to take it as parenting, then parenting cancels out the romantic relationship. And I have been, and when I watched that movie yesterday too, I was getting all these aha moments. And I've said this to Alder. I'm like, I think you pulled me out of the romantic category because you like me playing the parent role. And I have allowed it, but I don't want to be your parent. I want to be your va 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 boom. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's for you and your therapist. That's for you and your guides. That's for you and your friends. You know what I mean? I'm like, I will be there to help you through certain things. But I'm like, if we start putting, that's where they were talking about intimacy earlier. That's where we can't have freedom and intimacy either if we're putting our intimate partners in boxes and labels and categories that we've put them in. There's this one story in the movie, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a feeling I know where it's going, and I'm hoping it's going to go in the way that I thought, because there's just this, they're doing these studies. These people agreed to do studies on the female and the male brain. They took different couples, but of course they're actors. And one of the couples is Sofia Vergara, and I don't know the guy. I know the actor's face, but I don't know his name. And anyway, it's like they're just doing all these things to try and bring romance back into their marriage. And there comes a point where they're like, maybe it's just over, and they're totally both okay with it. And it's actually this really cool moment. And I feel like that's where Alder and I got to last year, where we were like, I don't think it's over, but if it is, then that's the way it's supposed to be. We're like, okay, bye. But I think we were both kind of like, okay, bye, because I feel like deep down we knew eventually we would find our way back. But over that time, we have found that we actually really do like living alone. We found that we actually don't, like certain things I'll say and he'll go, I'm not like that anymore. Or he'll say, I don't like that. And I'm like, oh, and that's that old adage, oh, but you used to like it. Yeah, well, I don't like it now. Right? Because we change and we evolve and we grow. I never ever thought I'd ever hear him say he was afraid to die. That was weird to me. It still was like, wow. But it also was a gift because it made me realize where he's at, because it means he cares. And sometimes, it's like I watch these auditions, and when people get really nervous, they're like, you're only nervous because you care about it. If you didn't care about it, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't be nervous at all. But this means a lot to you. So we want to help you. So just breathe, relax. Like, we're all your friends. We got, have you noticed how when those shows first started, it was like, you're too fat, or it was like they wanted that reality TV. But now, have you noticed how reality TV has softened a lot? I mean, Simon Cowell is a perfect example. He was known as the bad boy of reality TV until he had a son. Come to find out, I saw him in an interview. It wasn't just his son that softened his heart, but I think it was also losing, I don't know if it was both his parents at the same time, or I think he was hardened because I think his parents died or something. I caught the tail end of the interview, but he was talking about his parents as if it was in past tense, and I thought I heard him say something about a car accident. So I don't know the full story. But it was something, but he said that his son came along, and I said the same thing. I'm like, boy, he has changed since his son was born, because it changes you. It softened his heart. This is his little boy, and his son must be one hell of a kid. You know what I mean? One hell of a being, because, we all know Simon, it was self-admitted. He was showing up, like drunk and, pissed off. He was like smoking cigarettes, and like, he was just not, a lot of people don't know this, but like Simon was one of the very first producers of American Idol. So even though American Idol is still going and he's not on it, he still gets paid for that. He started America's Got Talent, well, he started Britain's Got Talent, and you know what I mean? So he's been doing this for a long time, and he can see, and he can also, it's like he's become a psychologist. A lot of these judges, they see and they watch and they observe. That's why a lot of them stay in it and why they're good at it. Heidi's really good at it. I love Sofia Vergara. I think her addition to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm trying to be really cool right now with that. But she's brought a whole different element to the show that I think is awesome, and just seeing how they are now, people are opening up, and we're seeing that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, the world has changed. We have changed, and have faith that we are ever changing, and we will continue to change. This outward shit, is all the boys and their toys. Oh, bye, Jessica. Thank you for being here. I was literally just going to wrap it up. Okay, love you, love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and your pearls with us. All of you that have been here, Anna as well. Those of you who have been here, thank you for being here. We're going to wrap it up soon. I'm getting the vibe from Spirit. If we pull any more cards, we may. I don't know. But I have a feeling they're going to have me slow down because I'm really tired from yesterday, and I haven't eaten anything since yesterday at like 8 o'clock last night. I'm okay. You know, like I'm good. I've got my water and stuff. But you know, that's the kind of faith. So if you want to watch, like if you want inspiration, like watch auditions, watch people going for their gusto, going for the, you know, going for their dreams, watch. And of course, I know I've worked on television. I know how reality TV works. I know all that. Yay. Bye, you guys. Bye, Baba. Oh, yay. Exactly, dude. Baba's always here with us, man. She is just so powerful. But she's definitely living in another body somewhere. I can feel it because it's like she stayed with me for a while, and then now she comes and goes. But she's definitely, you know, what did you say, Jess? What was your last thing? Oh, okay, yep. um, but yeah, I can feel it. She's either in another animal, or she's in a human, or she's in another dimension somewhere. But I can feel that she's in embodied again somewhere. I can feel it. She was so much more freewheeling with me, and now it's like recently she said something to me like, I can't come by all the time or something. And I was like, okay. And I go, well, then only show up when you can. So that's really cool. Thank you, Jessica. Um, so stay in the light, stay in the love, stay in the hope, stay in, you know what I mean? Stay in it as much as you can, as long as you can, like stay in it. Do we have any more? Was there any secret questions? Like, you know, in the future, like people will be watching this. Do they have any, is there anything we haven't answered? Okay. Oh, this one just came out really quickly. So I'm going to take that. Love Love is blind. If I love someone, I tend to put them on a pedestal, see only their gifts and talents, and put a blind eye to their difficult side. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. This one's been coming up a lot, and not just for us, but like I see this on a lot of readings everywhere because the divine masculine is falling apart. It's shattering, and it's okay because it's going to rebuild itself even stronger. So the divine feminine is going to, we're the ones holding the strength. Oh, so earlier when I was saying that I've been working with this other light worker recently, when she was teaching me about the divine masculine, she said, do you know that, speaking of frontal lobes, she's like, do you know that the divine masculine actually has a higher propensity of love than the divine feminine does? In that, and so that's kind of interesting, and they spoke about that in that movie yesterday, and I was like, that's the second time in 1 week that spirit told me that. So it's just that because men are physically stronger, and they have thicker skulls, just by definition they are stronger than us, but they were meant to be that way for a lot of reasons. And that's another reason why some people say, oh, God is a man and blah 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 blah. And then some people say God is a woman because, she's fragile and she created something that would protect her. I mean, you can, right? Like anybody can read anything into anything. Anyway, I'm going to read that one more time, right? So love is blind. If I love someone, I tend to put them on a pedestal and see only their gifts and talents and put a blind eye to their difficult side. Healthy love number 6. A lot of sixes, you guys. 666 has been coming around a lot lately. And do you know that 666 is a divine number? Did you know that? It is. It is, it is, it is, it is, it is. And also, it's 6 times 3 is 18, and 8 and 1 is 9. And we're in a 9-year transformation. We're slithering the skin. It's about rebirth. So we're at the end of something and we're getting to the end of something and the beginning of something. So 2027 is going to be our rebirth year. That's going to be an 11 year. So we're going to see a lot of shit over the next few years. So this says, for good and for bad, in sickness and in health, I love myself and others unconditionally. So these are like marriage vows, right? So I had a really good friend of mine who married herself. She got tired of the bullshit, whatever. She had a wedding, everything, invitation. She married herself. It was beautiful. I didn't go because at the time I was closed-minded, and it's not that I believed in her, and I believed in what she like, that it meant a lot to her, but I was working at the time, and when I didn't work, I didn't get paid. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry, I can't come. I'm like, if you were anyone else, I probably would have done the same thing, But looking back on it, I wish I had seen it. And if they call me to, I'll put a link to it because she put it on YouTube. I don't know where she is now or what she's doing with her life, but I send her a big hi, Viv. And anyway, but so maybe it's time for you guys to have a little wedding ceremony for yourself. right? Through good and bad, sickness and in health, take care of yourself, love yourself and others unconditionally. You know, how many times have we been like told that, you know, you go to work anyway? Or like I had this one job that I ended up like quitting, but one of the last things I said to my boss, oh, this doesn't want to stay up. So I'm going to put this up. One of the last things I said to my boss was, and also I'm like, I think your mind games with the sick thing is fucked up because basically if you called in sick, you were frowned upon. If you went into work sick, you were frowned upon. There was like no way to win. Actually, no, excuse me. So I said to them, I go, I think the only way to win is like if you went to work and you were sick and they sent you home, then you were a warrior, you were a hero. You were like, oh, you know, and I was like, what about the people that are like, I don't want to get anybody else sick? You know what I mean? Because 9 out of 10, my mom worked for a doctor and they said that a lot of times, like 9 out of 10 is what the doctor told my mom. So I don't know if it's true. This was like 20, 30 years ago, but they said, you don't even, when you're sick, when you're contagious sick, you don't even know you're sick. You know, you may feel lethargic, you may feel run down. You know, there's this thing that happens in my body when I know that I'm getting run down and that I'm a sliver away from getting sick. That's when I juice up, right? That's when I like ginger and black pepper and you know what I mean? And I do those things to like boost up my immune system and the turmeric and all that. And I put myself into a deep dive detox into like fruits and vegetables and all these, you know, what do they call it? The 7, whatever, where it's got all that stuff in it, right? That juice. The 7 wonders of the world juice, right? That's got all that stuff in it, like the ginger and the turmeric and the black pepper and all that to like kind of shake up our immune system. So I'm hearing for some of you, it's time to take good care of yourself. And by doing that, you're loving yourself and others unconditionally. So I don't know if this is the last card, but this came in and it says, the money is the root of all evil and unhappiness. If you believe it is, then it will be. And it'll torture you your entire life. Turn your thought process of money upside down. There is such a thing as a poverty consciousness. I've been having this discussion with a lot of people lately, right? Yes, great juice. It kicks the immune system. Yes, Anna, exactly. So when we're putting our body, when we're putting that good juice into our body, we have to put that into our mind too. And we have to remember that whatever seeds that we put into our head are going to plant and they're going to root and they're going to grow. So only you can pull those roots out. That's when we were talking about earlier about rewiring our brains. The only way to do that, when I look down, it was 222, hey, Baba! That the only way to do that is by saying, recently I've been saying, I'm the first billionaire in my family, you know, that I know of, right? Because billionaire is just a term. So like my grandmother believes that we come from royalty. So if it's true that I come from royalty, there may be a chance that like, they were richer than me. You know what I mean? Like what a billionaire would be then, right? So I started to like think about that kind of stuff. So I was just like, in this world, in this lifetime, I will be the first billionaire in my family. I have millionaires in my family. And then I show spirit. I don't just talk about it, but I show spirit in my mind, all the things I want to do with the money to help the world, you know, so that we can bring back the balance and the control. Because the other thing is that over time, you've just had one czar, one ruler. Why do you think that the American president now wants to make it more of a monarchy? He wants to have all the money, all the control, so that he thinks by doing that, that he can control the other countries, but all it's doing is making the other countries getting fucking nervous and trigger happy because they're like, are you gonna fucking spring a war on us? Like they're like, what? And when you have somebody who's like a loaded gun, who is, you know, talking about control and money, that is, you know, all of these things are coming from the millionaires the billionaires. Before it was like, if you're a millionaire, you were rich. Now it's just like, oh, there's so many millionaires everywhere. Like that's no big deal, which is fine. Good. Money's not evil. It's what you do with it. Right? Money is awesome. Money is great. So you have to tell yourself, I love money. I love money and money loves me. I love money and money loves me. Make up your song and sing it every day till you are so rich that you can't believe it anyway, but you are. So you do. And you keep going and then you're through to the other side of that poverty consciousness, right? Like just, I don't fucking care. Do what you have to do. Okay? Get yourself out of that poverty consciousness. So the flip side of that is healthy joy number 4. Oh, I think we started with healthy joy. And I hope this is the last one, only because this would be so cute to end this way. Healthy joy number 4. 4 is all about balance, baby. True joy and happiness come from prosperity in many areas of life. So, right. So, I was speaking of that because that was the poverty consciousness energy. But what they're saying here is, right, like right now, we are richer than most people. I have a phone that is on live where I am talking to, I don't know who else is on here, but right now I know for sure Anna, she's in the UK, I'm in the United States, and we are live and we can just sit here and we can just talk to each other, right? That is a fucking luxury. I am richer than more people in the world. Just this phone is that, right? And when I'm done with this, I'm going to put away all my beautiful crystals and, whatever. I'm going to bring my peonies back to this table and, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to make myself some food and I'm going to watch a fun show. I'm going to play with the birds outside. You know what I mean? I am so rich. But if somebody else saw my life, saw the way I lived, they would probably feel sorry for me, pray for me. They'd probably be like, oh my gosh, you live in filth. Your yard looks like a junkyard. Well, you know what? I have everything I need. I have everything I need. And the poverty consciousness is like Dolly Parton used to say, you're only poor if you choose to be. Well, I'm not poor. I may not be where I want to be at this moment, but I will be. And I'm already putting myself there by doing this work. And I'm doing the work every week, every day, all the time. And you know what? This is karma. This is real. I mean, when my friend was saying the other day, they're like, I just don't want you to wait for him. Like, why are you like, whatever, like, let them do. And I'm like, because I can choose at any moment too. I have everything at my disposal. If I really wanted to do things, I have the tools. I don't really have to wait for Alder to help me finish this remodel. I could do it myself. I don't want to do it myself. Huge difference. Now, when it gets to a point where it's a need and you have to do something, that changes everything. So spirit's always trying to get us to the point where we don't have to do something. But sometimes we do. Because that is part of the story. That is part of the plan. That is part of, what was, it's different for everybody. Insert your experience. But the true joy comes from the prosperity that we feel, which is the abundance of love in our hearts. Are there any more cards? Nope, that's it. I had a feeling. I was like, so I don't know if we're going in order, but I'm kind of curious to see how many numbers we have. So we have 6 and then we have 6 and those were behind each other. That's interesting. And then we've got 2, 5, 5. Ooh, the 2s and the 5s were together already. That's kind of interesting. And then we got another 6. And then we got another 2. So, which is interesting because we have 2 2s. We have 2 2. Oh yeah, that's right. We were putting them here. So we have 2 2s and a 4, which 2 plus 2 is 4. And I feel like for some of you, like maybe these messages will mean something to you. So if you want to take a screenshot, let me get it. There we go. So I feel like they want me to read just what we can see. But I will say this, that the first card is living in society 2. The middle is healthy joy 4. And the other one is healing anger 2. So I think it's interesting that like living in society is 2. The healing anger is 2. But the healthy joy is like the balance of the middle. So I feel like they're saying, it is possible to maintain one's individual creative identity and also be in an intimate, committed relationship. So maybe some of you are lying to yourself and saying, oh, I can't be in a relationship because I'm an artist and I have this time to myself. Or maybe they're saying this to you and you kind of are like calling bullshit, but you've never pushed it hard enough. And maybe this is a wink, wink from spirit that it's time for somebody to start using their, whatever to get out of something that came through. So that could be even just for one person. I have no idea. But then the healing anger, I learned to love both the positive and the negative aspects of others as I grow to love my own strengths and weaknesses. So maybe you're allowing someone else's art to hold you back. I've been in those relationships too. Like you have something to say, you have something to give, you have something to do. Don't just let it, I was in a relationship with a very successful professional musician, and I was still struggling to make it on my own. And I would always ask them if they could, help me or like, tell them about me. And he's like, no, he didn't want the nepotism of it, kind of. And I was like, well, I don't know if is that with a partner, or is that just family? But you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't want that kind of like energy. And he's like, you're going to have to earn it on your own merit like I did, you know. But then, like, years later, after we broke up and we were friends, like, he admitted to me, like, there were times where he was, like, afraid that I would outshine him. And my dad, remember I said at the beginning of this, that's why my dad pushed me to be an actor. Even though I was acting and singing, I wanted to do music more, but it was almost like my dad was afraid. No, it wasn't like he told me today. My dad was afraid I would outshine him. He was literally like, he said he never admitted it, but he knew that I had more talent, and he was like afraid that, like, you know, because he was still trying to make it. And then when I moved back from LA, it was like people were like, "Oh, well, you tried," you know, and then everything was always about my ex-husband, and he was the artist and I wasn't, you know, and blah blah blah. And so I went back to college in my late 30s, and looking back on it now, I realized I went to art school. I had to go to art school. So like I learned that I could actually draw people. I could do all these things, and one of my professors was so sweet. He became like one of my dearest friends. And I didn't even know he was gay until I saw him out at one of the gay bars. And I was like, you know, because we were around the same age. He was just a few years older than me. I went back to college later, you know. And I'm like, I'll never tell a soul. He's like, oh, he's like, everybody knows. He's like, I just assumed. He's like, I don't talk about it. But he's like, oh, no, it's okay. And I was like, oh. But we ended up becoming friends even after I left school. And he said that to me. He said, you don't even know how many students that come into my class that tell me things like this, that from a sibling, a parent, an aunt, a grandparent. He's like, anybody who they saw their gifts, but they didn't want them to be better than them. So, you know, just pray for those people and send them love, you know. But it's time for you to step out of your comfort zone, because true joy and happiness come from the prosperity in many areas of life. And even if you are doing the same creative outlet as your partner or a family member or somebody, they're saying, like, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be different because it's coming from you. And if people perceive it, quote unquote, as better, that is not your problem. You know what I mean? Like, you can't stop being who you are so that other people feel better and feel comfortable about themselves. You hear me? You feel me? Okay. So we're going to leave that one there. That's the last one of that. And then I feel like, because these three, I feel like these want to come last. Okay. So now we have these two, which are, I feel like these are kind of like twiddly dee and twiddly dum. I don't know why I just heard that, but it must be because I feel like this doesn't even want to go into focus. This one. Interesting. Okay, well, we're going to do it anyway. It's like you don't want to be seen. It says, I express joy and gratitude in my life. Oh, good night, Anna. Good night. Sweet dreams. Night night. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the anchor. Okay. We're wrapping this up now. You guys will have to come back and see the end of this. Thank you so much. Okay, so it says, I express joy and gratitude in my life with the proper combination of passion and humility. And look at, they're both healthy love, number 5. Oh, look at the Mona Lisa in the background, right? Look at the divine feminine in the background. She's just like looking at it. She's just like, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, healthy joy, number 5. You don't have to hide who you are. You don't have to hide in the background in the shadow. If people say that you are dimming their light or you're taking the spotlight, tough fucking shit. I was going to say tough titties when I was a kid, right? Because, and that's just my divine masculine coming out, like saying, no, don't allow people to come in and steal your thunder and your light. You can both shine bright. That's on them. Their insecurity is on them. It has nothing to do with you. In a loving relationship, by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, I can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle. Do you hear that? So I express joy and gratitude in my life with the proper combination of passion and humility. You know, it's different if you're like, look at mine. Mine's better than yours. When I see couples do shit like that, I think that's so fucking weird, because my brother and I were like that growing up. You know, like I was like, that was my brother. I don't feel like a healthy, loving relationship between a couple that's an intimate relationship. To me personally, that feels very unhealthy. And I don't know if it's really healthy as children either, right? Like, I mean, I get that, right? Like, you have that sibling to kind of like boost you, whatever. But also, a lot of the reason why I didn't express my joy and who I was and what I wanted to be was I was afraid of being judged by my family and my friends. I mean, I had to stop talking to my family and friends, not because I mean, I miss them, a lot of them, I love them, but I had to. It wasn't a choice anymore. It had become like it was me or them. And I chose me. And there's nothing wrong with choosing yourself, because, you know, especially when we're in large households of abuse, You know, it's just going to keep perpetuating. We're little sponges when we're children and we take things on, you know. And I've noticed that in some people, especially in divine masculine, divine feminine relationships, you know, whatever inside, outside, that's all, you know, personal. But I'm saying, like, if you're in a relationship with somebody that's a lot more like I was, you know, very, very heavy handed with the divine masculine in my relationship. And I see like where I went wrong and why I had, you know, certain things, you know, happen the way they did. It had to go down that way. And I had to learn, but it's because it was the divine masculine. I was told, you know, like, you know, grandpa knows best, father knows best. Like, I mean, there literally was a fucking TV show called Father Knows Best. Like mama's in the kitchen. Mama doesn't know anything, right? But it's like, what? Like we've been confused about like our roles and our it's just been so bullshit fabricated, messed with, toyed with, you know what I mean? It's not been easy. It's been a rough road for all of us. And that's what we're doing now. We're all each individually taking our power back one by one by one by one. We are all taking our power back. All of our stories are going to be different. So to stay in that healthy joy, you're going to have to make some changes and transformations. That's why the fives came out. We had a weird thing with the camera. If you're new and or if you whatever, we've been going in and out of the camera view. And now looking back on it, I feel like they did this on purpose. It's so funky. It's like it works. It almost like because they're like the egg shape, it kind of works. So express your joy and your gratitude every day. Pray over your food. Say thank you to spirit. You know what I mean? Like I think when every single day I say the same prayer, and sometimes I'll add stuff in, but the same basic prayer is that I just thank spirit for the food and for nourishing my mind, body, and soul. And then I thank every single person who had anything to do with that food coming into my home. I say thank you, Spirit, for blessing them, blessing all of us with whatever we need, whenever we need it. You know what we need when we need it. So I leave the timing and I leave that kind of stuff up to Spirit, you know, and I think that, you know, any being that gave any part of itself so that I can have that food so it could nourish my mind, body, and soul. So having gratitude will change your life. And for those of you who are fighting with the money poverty consciousness, that will change your poverty consciousness too. The more you're grateful, I say thank you for everything. Literally. I mean, almost everything. Every day when I'm pouring my water, I thank the water. I thank the shungite, the vessel, you know, like I say, thank you, Spirit, you know. The more we say thank you, the more the universe responds and wants to give us more. It's part of the process of being human on earth. That's the balance, is the positive, the negative, the masculine, the feminine. All of it, we have balance in everything. Okay? So that's that. And then our last message, that's our last message. And I feel like because these three are here and they're all sixes, I feel like this is like our grand dame of like messages from spirit to get us for the end of today. I try to put them in here so that they can kind of coexist. There's a candle back there, so I can't get too saucy. I don't want to burn the cards or myself. Okay. So we have healthy love, number 6, healthy body, number 6. Hold on. I feel like we need some light on the situation. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is better. Watch this. I should have done this a while ago. Woohoo! Much better. Okay. So, which way you want to go, Spirit? Sorry about that, you guys. So we have healthy love, number 6, healthy body, number 6, and living in society, 6, which is exactly what we were just kind of talking about. These kind of remind me of sharks. Is it Shark Week? Also, for those of you who live on the east coast of the United States, there is a big ass fucking great white heading up to the north side. I just saw, it's one they've been tracking for a long time. He has a name too. I think he's called the Commander or something like that, because he's like the biggest one that they've seen in a really, really long time. They've been tracking it, and it's making its way towards, I think, New Hampshire or somewhere like up that way, if they think for the summer. So it's just like, you know, there's been 20 something unprovoked attacks, but also you have to remember that people, the ocean, like all the animals, like they're taking their power back too. Like everybody's taking their power back. You can't be angry at something for like, if you're going to put your stupid ass in the fucking water where they eat and you know they eat you, that's on you. I'm sorry. I don't, when people are like, fuck the shark, I'm like, no, fuck you, man. Like, you're going into their world, into their life, into their territory, and they eat you. So, if you fucking happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, it's like it's about taking accountability and responsibility for our place on the earth and with the creatures that live on it. You know, we are taking our power back, everybody, and the fifth dimensional energy is back in business, and the third dimensional energy is on the bye-bye. So for healthy love, 6, for good and for bad, in sickness and in health, I love myself and others unconditionally. So moving forward, to have healthy love for yourself and others, you must have respect. Even if you don't like somebody and you don't like their opinion, I don't have to like people, but I'm still going to love them, because I don't know how they became that way, but it takes a lot of energy to be hateful. It takes a lot of energy to be mean. You know, you don't have to talk to people or keep people in your life. If you don't align with people, they don't have to understand, right? People stop talking to me too. It's okay. That's what they need to do. We're not for everybody. Okay? So the healthy love is about having boundaries for yourself and others, unconditional love for yourself and others, but that doesn't mean that you have to spend time with them. That doesn't mean that you have to, you know what I mean? You can love them from afar. The healthy body. I have a healthy, flexible, balanced way of seeing, thinking, and reacting to the world around me. When you start speaking with love and thinking with love, your body will respond. And you know what? You won't even have to like stop the junk food, because I've been going through this too. It's like my body's like, no, I want a mango. Like, I had chocolate in the house. Drink some water. Stay hydrated. See? Healthy water. Stay hydrated. If you can, get some healthy shungite and keep it in a water vessel in your house, in glass, not plastic. We're trying to get away from the seepage. Why do you think so many cancers and all that? They knew. Are you kidding? I mean, even for myself, I realized recently, because I was keeping my water bottles outside, and I forgot that. I'm like, oh yeah, and if I don't put my canopy down, that sun's going to go right into my water. It's going to go through the plastic and it's going to seep into my water. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Right? Because when the amount of time that the water goes into the plastic bottles and the time I drink it there's probably some seepage, I'm sure. But the company that I get it from, like, they have like the highest level BPA, whatever that is, so like the least amount of seepage you can get. But still, if you put it in the sun, it's still going to break down. It's chemical, right? So it's going to break down. It's going to break down in your water. That's why they say don't drink your water if you've left your water bottle in the car and the car gets up to like so many degrees and then you drink the water. It's like you're basically just putting like poison like straight into your body. You know, there's just so many things that we're noticing and we're seeing, and the world is back. It's not coming back, it is back. It's just that now we're just saying no to certain things, and we're saying, I'm going to take better care of myself. I'm going to have a healthy, flexible, balanced way of seeing myself and the world, the healthy way of thinking, and reacting to the world around me, right? And then in the living in society, number 6, I can find the resources within me to be flexible, energetic, vital, and assertive. I lovingly go after and get what I need. So they're basically saying, once you are balanced in your love for yourself and others, once your body is feeling good and healthy and balanced, everything else will fall into place. All your dreams, all your wishes, all the things that you want, everything is going to come true. But you have to make some changes. And right now, the reason why the planet is acting like a fucking shit show is everybody's either living in the past or living in the future. But if they're in the present, they'd be fine. But people are like, are we going to go to war? What's going to happen? They're like, we want to be like we used to be. Let's make it the same way again. Why would we want it the same way again? It was horrible. I mean, I remember I watched Mad Men when it was going. Then I watched Mad Men again later because my partner hadn't seen it, and so I was like, oh, I'll watch it with you again. It's been a long time. I'm like, I hadn't watched it like all at once, you know. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I started watching it like 2 or 3 years like after it was on or something. And so, long story short, when I watched Mad Men again, I was like, what the fuck? Hello, Chanley. 555. Oh, yay. Is that what time it is for you where you live? Who's Chanley? Do you want to say your name? I don't know. If you want to say your name, you can, but you don't have to. But hello. We're actually wrapping it up, but thank you for coming on. Um, but, uh, when I watched Mad Men again, I was just kind of sickened by it, really, because it also gave me like I realized I needed to watch it again. And when I was watching with my partner, like we would pause it and we would like say stories and like we would talk um and I told him I was like, I remember when I worked in an office in like the early 90s. I'm like, it was still like that. It was still like that. I still had bosses who would kind of smack my behind, or, you know, we had liquid lunches, and it was like very much accepted. If like you wanted to take the boss out for something, you know what I mean? You can do your, you know, hello, love your vibe. Thank you. I love you. Feel free to tell us your name and introduce yourself and all that good stuff. We're at 2 hours and 45 minutes and I'm exhausted. So I'm literally wrapping it up, but now, you know, we're here and I do this live every Sunday at noon Pacific Standard Time. And sometimes most of the time we average about a few hours, but this is the longest one we've had. You know, I just go where I'm told, or like, you know, wherever spirit like draws my energy to go. So you're more than welcome to be here. Um, we've been talking about a lot of stuff today. I actually was thinking I'm going to have to go back in and put some timestamps or something, because we talked about some, beautiful. Is it, Shandara or a Cha? See, I don't know. How would you, anyway, but welcome. But if you go by Chan, that's cool too. And you are in Ohio. Well, welcome, Chanley from Ohio. So tell me if you like Chanley better or Chandara. I just want to, whenever somebody gives their name, I just want to make sure I'm not like saying it wrong the whole time, you know? It's funny, when I was working with this one deck, I was saying this name every time I worked with this card. And then when I studied, I forget which deity it was. Chandara? Was that right? Okay, cool. Um, but but I every time I go back and see that video, I always laugh. Chanley's fine. Okay, cool. I go back and I laugh at myself. I cringe because I'm like, oh man, I'm like butchering their name. You know what I mean? Every time I said it, I was like, I'm like, anybody who heard that would probably laugh their ass off. That's awesome. Well, welcome. We love you. Welcome to the tribe, man. Welcome to the tribe. You just missed some of our other it means moon and stars. Oh, I love that even more. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, well, you know, that's so beautiful because one of my dearest friends, when we were younger, instead of getting like the best friend necklace, we both were drawn to this necklace that had a half moon with a star on it. And so, Nancy, wherever you are in the world, I love you. I send you love. But anyway, so I've always felt that, and I've always had a thing for the moon and the sun and the stars and all that. Now, of course, I know why, but. So welcome. And also, I had a daughter named Star in another life, and I was born on Monday, a moon day. So that also would be part of it. I should say I had a daughter in another life. I had a daughter in this life that I lost. She never was born, but her name, I would have named her Star. And she goes by Star because that was her past name, but she was meant to be in this lifetime to show me, you know, loss and all that kind of stuff. So yes, exactly. Oh, look at that. Chanley says, happy Father's Day to all fathers. Thank you. That's so kind. It's really funny that you said that, because literally this entire episode was about fathers, fatherly figures. And so you may have, you were born on a Monday. Oh, yay. Oh, so Chan means moon. I love it. That's so cool. And what language? That's so cool. Because I know Luna is Spanish, or the Romance languages, right? Don't they use Luna? It means, it means, Chan means Monday. Oh, like moon, because like moon day. Okay, retracted. That's cool. Chan means Monday. Okay. But moon day. That's what it's named after. So I get it. Oh, so where does that language derive from? What country? Khmer? Is that right? I'm like, I don't know. It's so funny. Whenever I do this, I always think like that you guys, oh, you're Cambodian. Oh, cool. Oh, that's really cool. Interesting. Oh my gosh. I've had an affinity for the Cambodia. Well, actually, let's put it this way. I have had an affinity for the Asian culture since I was a very small child, like that whole part of the world. And then my first husband's family was from India. I have Japanese and Chinese all over my body. Um, Okay, so it's Khmer. Okay, so is Khmer the language or no, it's Cambodian. So Khmer is that like the province, the country? How does it work in Cambodia? Excuse my ignorance. I don't know. I always love finding that kind of stuff out. This is how I learn. This is how we learn, right? We don't have ego. It's interesting that this deck, this mind body makeover deck, is literally about like the ego and working through it. So that's powerful. That's so powerful. I'm gonna actually pull these down and see if anything else come up. Okay, so Khmer is the language. Okay, cool, cool. Well, I know, well, because in some countries you can have several languages in one country, right? I mean, right? Cambodian is the people. Cambodia is the country, right? And the Cambodian people, but the language is Khmer. Am I saying that right? Interesting. All right. So before we go, because Chanley, we may have answered your question already because we went through a lot of different cards and I thought we were wrapping it up. So here we go. Okay, cool. All right, I was right. Okay, so this is for you, my friend, because you came on. So we had this weird thing happen with the camera. So I was doing. Oops, I hit mute on accident. We were doing this for for a lot of the reading. Oh, you have 5 different dialects. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so we were doing this as well. We were doing shadow because so you're going to see in the almost 3 hours of this, or probably by the end will be 3 hours, that we were going back and forth because when I started this, the camera was doing this really weird thing that it's never done for me before. You're most welcome. So here's your message. It says, if I love someone, it means that it becomes harder for me to speak my mind, especially if I'm angry. Okay, so isn't that interesting, you guys? We just had this card and I shuffled and you got this. So there's a more extensive energy in this. I feel like you're meant to watch this reading, dude. I totally feel like you're meant to watch this reading. So the healthy love, number 5, in a loving relationship by taking appropriate action and communicating directly, I can transform any troubling situation, problem, or obstacle. Okay, the fact that I shuffled and we pulled the same card, I get the vibe that I'm going to wrap it up here and that you're meant to go back and watch it. And if it's too long right now and you're like, don't have the time and energy, you may want to, let me see if any other one's coming in. Oh, okay. So this is yours. Okay, so definitely go back and check it out. And if Spirit has me go in with timestamps, I will after it uploads. If not, then this is definitely. I was about to let go, so this must be for you, Chanley. So it says, so this deck has 2 sides, okay? And this side is our ego or our shadow self that's restricting us from a thought process or a change, a motivation of some kind. So this is your brain telling you, if I love someone, I need to take care of them if they're in pain or suffering, okay? Which is beautiful and admirable. But we spoke about this a lot in the reading, right? Like we don't let ourselves get sick, or this is the deck. It's the Mind Body Makeover deck with the beautiful Mona Lisa. But see how there's like a brain right here? It's like this whole thing was about programming and, what's going on in the world right now. So a lot of times we are told certain things, but it's not necessarily true. So if you want to have a healthy, loving relationship with this person and to have it be more balanced, because it's the number 4, it says, if I love someone who is in pain, I can allow them space if they need to solve a problem in their own private way. Okay. So you may be somebody who people come and, for answers, questions, like you may be that person that people look up to, that look to for whatever. But you know what? How it's the oxygen mask theory. How can you take care of them if you are not taking care of yourself? Sorry, I'm trying to get this in focus. Right? How can you take care of anybody if you're not taking care of yourself? And if you're worrying more about them than you, that doesn't make you selfish. Okay. That doesn't make you selfish. That's programming. Ooh, that's weird. It disconnected for a second and it came back. Wow, that's a lot of power. You're so powerful. You may be dealing with somebody, you know what? You may be dealing with a narcissist or somebody because I get the just the way that you're talking and connecting with me. I can feel your energy. I'm a telepathic medium, but I can feel your energy and I feel like it's like people it's I kind of get this vibe like you're they want your advice but they don't want to be there for you, like, right, like you're seen but not heard, or you're heard but not seen. I don't know if that resonates with you or not, but I'm getting that vibe like really strongly. So that's super interesting. So I don't know who it is and you don't have to talk about it, whatever, that's fine, that's private. If you want to talk about it you can, but I'm feeling things that are coming through, so I'll be very mindful of my words. But I feel like this. I don't know if this is true, but I feel like you're taking care of somebody who's physically hurting too. Like I feel like you're taking care of somebody who is either like homebound or wheelchair bound or something where you're taking care of them, or maybe you work in hospice or something where you care for people and you like go into their home. Because I'm getting this vibe that like you're the person that's like, if somebody needs you, you're there. Like if someone, whatever, like you'll go. Um, but also I feel like you may overhelp as well. So if you're a parent, I get the vibe that like maybe you give too much. So if it's not a parent, maybe you're parenting other people and you're like you feel like, oh, they shouldn't be alone. I wouldn't want to be alone, because remember a lot of times when we're like feeling things for other people, it's really our own stuff. We're feeling our own pain, our own suffering, our own stuff, and they're just mirroring back something to us that we most likely need to work on. So I'm kind of getting this vibe from spirit that it's time for you to spend more time on yourself. And that does not make you selfish. Self care is not selfish, right? I was also raised in a family that, you know, not cool. I mean, I had someone who was angry with me because I didn't go to their daughter's birthday party, even though I just found out that my husband was having an affair and wanted a divorce. And I wanted to go and visit my friend that lived out of state because I needed to get away. And they told me I was selfish. Why couldn't I wait one more week to go to her birthday party and then go? I was like, because I need to leave right now. Like, I need to take care of myself. I'm not well. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around him. I don't want to be in this house. I don't want to go. And I certainly didn't want to like go be with my family or people that were just going to try and talk me, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but that, I mean, and I carried that for a long time until I started to talk to other people and they're like, dude, that did not make you selfish. That's horrible. That they're like, what did they say to you? Did they say, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through the breakup? I'm like, no, never said anything to me. Like they're like, oh please, you guys will probably get back to it. It was more like I was being ridiculous. That was the end of my marriage. And I knew it and he knew it. And even though we'd broken up and we'd gone through therapy and gotten back together a few times, it's like that it was really the end. And I just needed to leave. I didn't feel comfortable there. And my blood and bone family, I didn't feel comfortable with them. I wanted to go be with my friend, somebody that I trusted, somebody that I knew. So I feel like spirit is saying the same to you. Like, it says if I love someone who's in pain, I can allow them space if they need to solve a problem in their own private way. And maybe this is for you. Maybe you were harsh on somebody, and spirit's like, everybody handles grief differently. Everybody handles their troubles and strife differently. All of us do. All of us do. And that doesn't make somebody a villain. I mean, if that's the case, then we all play the villain and we all play the victim in our story, other people's stories, right? In our own story, we're the lead character, right? So that person, even though I loved them and they were related to me, they were my supporting cast. I was the lead character, and the lead character, well, like in the movie, right? Like you'd probably be like, oh my gosh, why is she doing that? Why doesn't she go take care of herself? But this is time and energy. And through this whole reading, we've been talking about that. I'm getting a lot of witchy vibe energy from you too, which is a good thing. Like, right? Like, meaning like you have a lot of like healing energies and gifts that other people don't have. And so they're not going to really be able to understand what you're going through anyway. So this just came out as well. And I don't know if this is a continuation for you or for somebody else, because we have other people here that are live as well. So it says the shadow voice is saying, I'm not comfortable accepting help. It's easier to give than to receive. Oh, see, I think this is for you. That's the vibe I get, is that you're just a giver. You're supportive and you're loving and you're awesome. And by the way, this is a free space for you to cry, be yourself, speak your truth. Like, but if you don't, we still love you. We hold space for you. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm here every week to hold space for people when and where I can. I also do private readings if you want to do any one-on-one work with me, magickalmedium@gmail.com. All of my information is in the description box. And for any contributions or decks, or I have my Venmo, all that kind of stuff. Anything, anytime, nothing is ever required, but I'm always grateful. Prayers are free. Send good vibes energy my way. It's all about the exchange of energy. So anyway, but if you would like to work for, further, we can do that. Okay. Sometimes when people show up like this and they're new, it's just, to come to the channel. Sometimes it's because they're meant to find me to work with me one-on-one. Okay. But you're really powerful and you're really gifted. That's why you're here. This whole tribe, we are the healer of the healers. We are here if you found yourself here, it's not an accident, So I'm not comfortable accepting help. A lot of light workers aren't, because it's our job to give. It's our job to help. But we also are here in human form. So we have to be able to receive. We have to be able to say, thank you. I need help. I can't do this by myself. Another reason why you're here. We're a very supportive community. So this is healthy relationships. It's number 1, which is so great. So I almost feel like this is Spirit saying to you, it's time for you to be in a healthy relationship, right? 101. This is healthy relationship 101. To change, grow, and expand in my life, I lovingly accept help. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to accept the love, accept the help. There's a big difference off of people who just live off of whatever they can get for free, and other people, people notice it. They can see it. True observers know when there is somebody who's just on the take and somebody who's on the give and somebody who's on the balance. We have to be able to give and receive. That's part of being human. And in order for you to go and expand your gifts, you have to ask for help. And if you found yourself here, I just got the chills. I had to say goodbye to every single one of my friends and family for the most part. There are a few, and I mean, I can count on one hand of people I still talk to that I knew before I had my awakening. Actually, I think really just one. And from my old life. It's not that I don't want to talk to those other people, but they were so ingrained in the other people that I couldn't get away from it. And my one friend who was supportive of me, who was awesome, who I miss and I cry about, I miss her all the time. I had to let her go because she would constantly talk about people that we knew. And I was like, dude, I don't mean to be a dick, but I don't care. And she's like, I thought, you just don't want to, and I'm like, you talking about them injects them into my consciousness, injects them into my life. And I felt like I was constantly being triggered. And triggering is good if you're going to heal. But if it's something where it's like they weren't healing, all they wanted to do was rehash or remesh certain things, or they wanted to tell me about a fight they had, or they're like, and I'm like, dude, you're talking on one side of your mouth about being woke, right? And then on the other side of your mouth, you're talking shit and saying whatever. I'm like, this is what I've been trying to say. And it's natural to fall into that. I still do it. Even this whole reading, this whole time I've been on here, I spoke about my family. I spoke about my partner. I spoke about old friends, right? I'm not calling out names, but because that's what happened to me, right? So that's life. I get it. But at the same time, I'm talking about it in the stance of learning and expanding and evolving and saying I understand because I've been there. How are we going to change, grow, and expand our life if we don't go outside of our comfort zone and we don't go outside of our wheelhouse of people that we've only known, right? If you give what you've always given, you'll get what you always got. And if you're an empath or a sensitive and somebody who constantly gives, and you have people around you who are selfish or use narcissistic energy to get what they want, they manipulate, I mean, it drives me nuts when people are in the yoga pants mentality and they're like, yeah, I'm going to totally manifest and I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear about how their manifestation came to be and you're like, yeah, you really what you did was called black magic, and you manipulated the situation and you manipulated the person. And they're like, I mean, especially now with so many things that are going on with we have the heart consciousness, which is like a Christ consciousness, creator consciousness energy. But then we have all these other parts of us that make up our minds and our bodies and our souls and our expansion and our awareness. And once we get to a certain level, then we kind of move up. And that's what you're doing. You're leveling up. Does not mean you're better than anybody. It has nothing to do with that. It's called levels of consciousness, because it just means that somebody who like has been in the third dimensional energy and isn't aware of the fifth dimensional consciousness energy of how the planet was, you know what I mean? If somebody's stuck in a religious text or a political, these bullshit things of like the truth that's been skewed, bastardized, backward, forward, people are like, I don't know whether to fucking scratch my wrist or wind my butt, as Dolly Parton would say, right? They've got us upwards, downwards, fake news, blah blah blah. It's like that's where the intuition kicks in. That's when people are like, this doesn't feel right. And if it feels right, if something like, hurting people or, killing people or whatever feels right, then you have to ask yourself, right? Like, what is going on? Why do you want revenge? Why are you seeking, in this power, this control? It's an old patriarchal paradigm. So it's time for you to get out of it. And if you just found us, welcome, because like I said, this is a place where we constantly change, grow, and evolve. And there are times I laugh. I remember old videos, or I'll look up something and spirit will, or I'll see one of my own old, because I have a few other channels. Check them out. Lula's Labyrinth is really fun. And I'll be on one of my other channels and one of my videos will come up. This has happened to me like 3 times in the last week. It's so funny. And they're so old. They're like 3 or 4 years old. Like where I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, look at me and my baby witch. You know what I mean? When I was like waking up, I was waking up. I was just waking up. We've always been this. If you found yourself here, like you've always been this. It's just now you're just waking up to like who and what you are. And when I looked down, it was 3553. And what is that? Mirrored. 3553 is just mirroring each other. So you're probably a big mirror, and your relationships, I feel like it's time for you to have, it's healthy relationship 1. I feel like it's time for you to start a new life, a new chapter, right? One with stability. Number 4, that's healthy. If I love someone who's in pain, you can let people go. This has been a hard one for me and my partner. I want to be with him. I want to be with him. I want to be with him. But he's not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready. And you know what? When I was going through my shadow and my dark night of the soul and my stuff, I wouldn't have liked it if somebody was pushing me. We're all going through it differently. Right now, everybody's going through some form of shadow work. Everybody, 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 everybody. I don't care if you are the most enlightened Buddha on the planet. There are going to be moments where something's going to trickle in and it's going to trigger something because you're human here. Shit fucking happens. It just does. So, this is a beautiful experiment. It is a matrix, but it's one of beauty and love and grace. And if you haven't seen, there's been some really great readings, the full moon and Sagittarius reading. And then I just did a pick a reading, the Divine Feminine, or we did it on Friday, I did it on the 12th, but it went out right after midnight on Friday the 13th, because it was the only Friday the 13th of the year. And 13 is the number of the goddess and the Divine Feminine. And it's time. 1 and 3 is 4. And it's time to bring the stability back to the planet. And, some of us have been going through the awakening for many years. And some people, they're just like, they'll have an awakening and they'll like come into their gifts in like a day. It's different for everybody. So take your time, take it easy, take it slow. It isn't a race. Ask for help when you need help. And also I work on a sliding scale. I always tell people, I'm like, I work on a sliding scale because I'm a telepathic medium. You can't lie to me and be like, oh, I don't have any money. I'll fucking know, like I always tell people, I'm like, and trust me, I've had people where like, they'll reach out to do a reading and spirit will say no. And I'll be like, why? And they're like, cause they're not ready. So that could be it too. So it's never a negative that way. Or it could be that, spirit's like, they're not ready on a lot of levels, meaning like, I have had, I had to put somebody in their place a few times until they got it. And then when they did, they were like, holy shit. And then when they came into their stuff, they apologized so many times. I'm like, dude, I did it with my shamans too, right? Because you're going through shit and you're figuring out who you are and you're, so don't take it too serious or too harshly. Okay, cool. Yay. Thank you. You enjoy your day as well. All is well, all is well, all is well. Okay, Spirit, do we have any more? Because we do have some people here. Do we have any more messages for anybody right now? Ooh, we got another one. Okay, well, have a blessed day, everybody. Okay, so I blame myself for things that go wrong around me. I must be in control. Now, this is one that our tribe has worked with a lot. You know why? Most people that have a problem with control it's because they didn't have it. And once they got a little bit of control, then they liked it. And some people, control makes them feel more balanced, but actually what all control does, you are most welcome. It is my divine pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. So nice to meet you and welcome. A lot of light workers use control as a tactic because, especially empaths, right? Like certain smells, I have certain things that like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't handle the smell. I can't handle the energy. So to some people, it may seem like I'm controlling or high maintenance. I used to get that all the time, but it was just because like, it's like all of my fucking like bells and whistles are going off telling me like, warning, Will Robinson, get out of here. Either it's the energy of a person or a situation, right? That intuition, that like sinking feeling, that, you know what I mean? And a lot of light workers control their environment because they can function better and easier in a controlled environment. But spirit is trying to get us to step out of our comfort zone and learn how to control our energy in an energy we can't control. And that's the tough one. And it's taken me, I'm 53 years old, and it's taken me 53 years, and I'm still working at it every day. Okay, you're not alone. So just, we keep working at it every day. You get back up and you try again. Every day, stay in a high vibration, lead with love. You get knocked down, come back. You got to work through things. Something gets triggered. You have a bad memory or an emotion. Somebody shows up, you see an ex with a new person and you're devastated. Work through it, get out of it. So blame myself for things that go wrong around me. I must be in control. But that's our ego, right? That's our shadow saying that. Healing sadness number 3. So this says, things are happening as they should around me. Right now, we were just talking about this in the video earlier, that one of the main issues that's happening on the planet right now and why so many people are in this fear-based energy is because they are either living in the past in terror that we're going to go into a war again, like World War III. People are really scared about that. And you know what? We started this way. I'm going to go back this way. We've been going back and forth. So because this is what they want to be heard, and then that will be that. If they have me channel any more messages, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But the energy right now, it's a spiritual war. We are at World War III. It's happening all around us. Some people are in a physical war because that's where the physical war is meant to happen. I don't know where any more physical wars are going to happen or take place because I don't believe in predictions. Sometimes spirit gives me something and it's fucking right in front of my face and it happens exactly the way they said it, and sometimes they don't. I'm a medium. I'm a telepathic medium, but they put bars and walls up for me too. If they don't want me to know something or they don't want me to see something or share something, I don't. If I'm looking around on YouTube, social media, I'm at the grocery store, whatever, and something comes into my orbit and they tell me to share it, I do. And I research it before I do, or it comes in when I'm channeling like this. But the energy right now is about love and staying on a high vibration, but we are human here. So it's about working through it and not dwelling on it. So they say things are happening as they should around me. Okay? So whether we like it or not, karma is here, and she never forgets an address. So she's fucking busy right now. If you haven't noticed, karma is very busy on the planet. A lot of these wars that are happening, these are wars that have been going on for centuries between these countries. Centuries. America is like the newbie. We're the baby. We're basically the baby. We're the baby of the family of the, universal, or I should say just the Earth family, right? In terms of like the countries, we're one of the newest countries in the world. Shit is happening everywhere. So is this revelations in the Bible? Yes, but unfortunately, they wrote it in the Bible as fire and brimstone, and they're giving you fire and brimstone because that's what they want you to believe. But the fifth dimensional energy that Earth was birthed into, the Earth school that it was made for our souls, because we're all connected, this place that we are, this where we are right now, this all divinely was created with the free will in mind. We always knew it was going to, it was inevitable that it would turn to this. It was inevitable, right? Because free will, people get too much power, right? But it's teaching us humanity. And now we ourselves are on the chopping block, right? Because Spirit is like, okay, well, put your money where your mouth is. How much do you love humanity? How much are you going to fight for and give up and sacrifice so that humanity can keep moving forward? Or are you going to be complacent and complicit and not say anything and not do anything? No, people are standing up for their rights. This is a different place, a different world. The social media is working for all of us. It's working in all of our favor. Even if you're like, oh, that's doctored, or oh, that's fake. Now with AI, they're like, what's real, what's not? Exactly. It was the beginning of the end when they started saying fake news. I knew that was it. Because then anybody can ever just throw that out and say, oh, it's fake, oh, it's fake, oh, it's fake, oh, it's fake, oh, it's fake. Before, even when we had pictures, they're like, oh, those pictures, they got experts. Oh, the pictures have been doctored, right? So now it's about us using our intuition, our knowledge, our soul knowledge. You know what I mean? Like all of these things, Spirit is challenging us to be the best versions of ourselves on a daily basis. And the question is, are we going to rise up to meet it? So that's it. Those are all the cards. And I'm going to put this on a shorts: to change, grow, and expand in my life, I lovingly accept help, because these are the messages that we need the most right now. We have to ask for help. We have to ask for help. Healthy Relationships 101. To change, grow, and expand my life, I lovingly accept help. Oh, I thought it was saying ask. See, it's both. We have to be able to ask for help. We have to be able to accept help in all forms. And if the help is redirected, not take it personally. Because this is another thing too, is sometimes, people will come into my orbit and I'm like, I'm not meant to work with you, but I feel like this reader would be really good for you. Or this, teacher would be really good for you. All right. Spirit, do we want to pull, I feel like there's no more questions, not even one more question, even if you think it, because I feel like there's one more, and because like I want to quit because I'm like, dude, it's 3 hours, I'm fucking exhausted, but I'm not. I actually have a lot of energy. I can feel Spirit in me, but I do feel like there's one more question or something. So this says, oh, nope. So this is just for, if you're new here, you're going to have to go back. You know what? Maybe they'll have me list things with like healing anger, because 2 of the cards that I brought back up are older cards. And is this an older card? Yeah, because they're talking about living in society. I can still feel good about myself even if someone is angry with me, right? I easily get scapegoated in my family and in other relationships. I feel like they want me to make shorts out of these. Let me see. Do we want to pull any more cards for the collective? Are any of the cards in here for this video? Okay. Do we want to pull any more cards for this episode? Oh, the shadow says, I'm not smart enough to succeed. Oh my gosh. Of course you are, beautiful soul. It's healthy self-esteem number 6. When I balance my, I said believe, Freudian slip, this is for you. When I balance my creativity with discipline and flexibility, I always succeed. So it sounds like you need to be a little more flexible with your schedule and putting your time and energy into your creativity, and to have discipline with it, whoever this is for, and to work. And you know what I'm hearing? For those of you who are struggling right now with your self-esteem, or, in that energy field, I'm hearing from Spirit, the more you work on your creativity and the more disciplined you are. I'm hearing for some of you, even with your health, like being disciplined about, I'm going for a walk. I don't care, I don't care about the weather. I'm going for a walk. I used to have this thing with myself that unless it was 30 degrees and below, because I grew up in Chicago and I used to love to walk. And sometimes people would be like, dude, it's fucking crazy. I can't believe you walk in this. I'm like, it feels good. I'm like, once you start moving, I'm like, it actually feels really good. So my thing was, if it was 30 degrees, Fahrenheit, and under, I didn't walk. But other than that, I walked every day, whether it was for 10 minutes or 2 hours, but I had to walk every single day. So I'm hearing from Spirit, maybe you need something like that type of discipline. You need to have a glass of water every morning when you wake up in the morning. Instead of having coffee first, you have water, right? Because your body needs water, not coffee. Your mind tells you you need coffee, but your body needs water, right? And having flexibility around that too. And if you take a day off, you take a day off. Don't freak out, just get back on. Same thing with like keeping that high energy up, keeping the vibration up, keeping the loving high vibration up. Keep that up, keep it up, keep it up. But you're going to have days where you're going to fucking cry. You're going to have days where you're going to be sad. Before I started this, I was hysterical. Both my fathers are gone now. My birth father and my stepfather. I love them both very much. And they're both gone, but they're with me, and they were with me, and they were showing me all these things. So, it's about like, I cried with them, and then I pulled myself together, and enough so I could talk about it today, and I wasn't crying about it. But it's about discipline. It's about getting back on the horse every day, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, whatever it is for you. Because this is saying, I'm not smart enough to succeed. No, that's your shadow self. That's an old energy. That's an old voice that's talking to you. That's not yours, and it was most likely given to you by somebody else as well. Okay? So this says, what I have to say rarely matters. That's not true. What you have to say, it holds great weight. And again, somebody most likely told you that. So the positive side of that is a healthy self-esteem, number 5. 5s are about change and transformation. When my mind and heart are aligned, what I have to say reveals genuine integrity, which makes people want to listen to me. Yeah, because it could be too for some of you guys, if you're putting out a bunch of bullshit, you know what I mean? People can read it. People know. Be authentic. Be your authentic self. This says things should be different. Life is unfair. Well, you have to change your mindset there, because life is happening for you, not to you. But if you think it's happening to you, or somebody's got some vendetta against you, or you're always like looking over your shoulder, that's where you'll always be, in the past or in the future, instead of being in the present. And your future is in your present. Healthy goals, number 6. They say, I now observe my life from a broad, objective perspective so I can give birth to healthier relationships and career situations. There you go. I think that was the last message, you guys. Oh gosh, one more. You guys, it just keeps going and going and going. Okay, so things come easier to others. This is your shadow self, your ego. Things come easier to others. My mind has always been in the clouds. Again, that sounds like somebody, get your head out of the clouds, kid, blah, blah, blah. But maybe you're an artist and a creative that needs their heads in the clouds. Maybe that's where you find your space. My family are like, oh my God, you smoke so much weed. I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? That's where I talk to spirit. That's where my creative side comes out, when I'm not like overwhelmed with, life and bullshit and all that other stuff. So this is the energy to heal that. Healing sadness, number 6. I am able to see things through a different perspective, and I clearly communicate what I see to others. And if they don't like what you see, that's on them. That's not on you, right? Okay, Spirit. Do we have any more questions? Do we have any more for this video? Nope, we are done. Wow, you guys, this may be the longest live I've ever done. I think I've done 3 hours before, but not 3 hours, 22 minutes, and it still keeps going. So I think some of these I'm going to turn into shorts. So I will be making those and putting them out as they want me to. Until next time, I love you so much. And let's say a big thank you to your guides and my guides and all of those who are here today. I'm also going to call upon the healing energies of the universe and ask that as we exit this, may we have some closure as we close the portal and say thank you, thank you, thank you for everyone being here today. Let's ring the bell and say thank you to the shadow, and blessed be the divine masculine and the fathers, for without them and their seeds, we would not be here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel like that motorcycle is for someone's dad. That's so cute. Okay. And that was a wink, wink. So we call upon the healing energies of the universe and we ask you, please, sorry, that's a bit loud, with grace and gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for clearing away any shadow or darkness that may have lingered with anyone that was on this reading today or will watch this reading or this channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here today. Thank you for healing us from the inside out and the outside in, and our minds and our bodies and our souls. Thank you to the Mind Body Makeover deck. Thank you for all this time together. It was beautiful. So join us here every Sunday, live at noon for Sacred Sunday. Until they tell me not to do them, I will be doing them. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, or if you would like to contribute anything to the work that's done on this channel, all of the information is on this channel in the section where it says Welcome Witches, Healers, and Deep Down Believers in Magic. You click on that and you'll see all the links to my channels, to my Amazon, Venmo, and also my email. Do you know that if you highlight my email address, like with your cursor on your phone or your computer, well, your computer should click and link right to my email, but on your phone you can highlight it and it should bring up that. If not, you can copy and paste it and send me an email, and we'll go from there. All right, you guys, I love you so much. Till next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be the angels. I love you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Blessed be. Oh,